and many shall fall, but a real conqueror will stand tall amongst them all. Hey, boom! Put your lighters up, represent it where you're from. If you're a child of Zion, marching forward till thy kingdom come. To all the old and the youngster, if nobody can put you under, stand up then if he's a fighter, show them you're ready to conquer. Make them know that you're a conqueror.
Yeah. We be hot, mama got game. Check my team, we like the flame. We be bougie, y'all sound the same. We be, mama got game. We be hot, mama got game. Check my team, we like the flame. We be bougie, y'all sound the same. We be, mama got game. Yeah. We be cooking. coming through. Push the limit on them rules. Yeah, mama got game. Mama got game. Yeah, mama got game. Yes. Yeah, mama got game. Rockin' be rockin' the game. Hear them screaming, they screaming my name. We be up on the fame. We be all of the power, we reign. Rockin' be rockin' the game. Hear them screaming, they screaming my name. We be up on the fame. We be all of the power, we reign. We be cooking something new. Hear us knocking, coming through. Push the limit on them rules, cause they don't do it like we do. We be cooking something new. Hear us knocking, coming through. Push the limit on them rules. Yeah, mama got game. Mama got game. Yeah, mama got game. Yes. Yeah, mama got game. Mama got game. Yeah, mama got game. Yes. Yeah, mama got game. Taking my time, up in them clouds, rocking them shades, we rolling. Look at them moves, yeah, we can dance too. Yeah, we be tick-tocking, body rocking, check my clock, we ain't stopping. Till the sun comes up, till the sun comes up. Taking my time, up in them clouds, rocking them shades, we rolling. Look at them moves, yeah, we can dance too. Yeah, we be tick-tocking, body rocking, check my clock, we ain't stopping.
raise the bar. I go to work, I make it look easy. Play hard, work smart, like easy breezy. Sugar daddy, no, that's honey. Don't give him any sugar, he suckers me all his money. Wanna live lavish, you need a clue. Then look to me, I'll tell you what to do. Do.
Repeat after me.
Confidence is key, and my keys all jingling. I can open any door, serving body, face, and more. Confidence is key, and my keys all jingling. I can open any safe, serving body, hair, and face. Now bring it out, it's your time to glow. You all the baddest, put on a show. Don't be afraid, let everyone know. Don't be shy, just lose all control and work it. Go hit a full split, tear up the floor. Go ahead, snatch those whips. Repeat after me. I am the vixen, I am the stallion. I don't need fixin', but I do need all your attention. All these diamonds on me, they glisten. When I talk, yeah, everyone listens. Cause I'm somewhat of an addiction. Now work those hips and thighs. You're out here changing lives. It's time, so let's get wild, and put in work. Put in work. Work, okay. Work today. Work today. Work. Confidence is key, and my keys all jingling. I can open any door, serving body, face, and more. Confidence is key, and my keys all jingling. I can open any safe, serving body, hair, and face. Confidence is key, and my keys all jingling. I can open any door, serving body, face, and more. Confidence is key, and my keys all jingling. I can open any safe, serving body, hair, and face.
Can't stop, won't stop going till a player on top know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion, we put in this time. Look.
You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. You take us down, keep fighting.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Good evening and welcome to the Snapdragon Pro Series Mobile Legends Bang Bang Season 1 Open Finals. My name is Husky and alongside me is a guy dressed like Sir Lancelot, Terrence, ICBP12.
Yep, I definitely feel like I am Sir Lancelot right now, and at the same time, here's a word of advice to all of you guys who just celebrated Valentine's Day today. I have one very, very simple advice, and that is from today onwards, okay? You gotta save at least 100 to 300 ringgit every week or every month. Start doing now, because after 9 months, you'll probably need it. So thank me later.
That's good investment advice. I actually started saving and hopefully in 9 months I will reap the rewards. I'll let you know. I'll let you know by the end of the year. But we have other pressing matters today. Upper brackets, 2 best of 3s to decide how far some of the teams will go. But we gotta again walk you through the format once more in case you are confused about how things are ran here. We start with the open qualifiers. No, we have 2 open qualifiers, and each open qualifiers consists of 4 regional qualifiers. Now the winners of all the regional qualifiers qualify directly to the challenge stage, whereas the second and third place will have to fight in the open finals, which has gone on for 2 days now. Now in the open finals, we have 16 teams playing in a double elimination format, and as of yesterday, we have already gotten our top 8 teams, which means that the remaining teams in this bracket have not only locked in a slot for the challenge group stage, now they get to fight for a prize pool.
Exactly, and as of yet, we are going to be witnessing some of these teams battle out in this format as well, where the first place teams will be walking away with a decent amount of prize pool. So, of course, when they head off towards the challenge finals, that is where the entire bracket is going to be resetted with all the players. But in case you're wondering what they're fighting for here, this is going to be the prize pool up on screen for you guys, as the first place will be walking away with $2,000, second place with $1,006, third place $1,004, fourth place $1.2, and it respectively goes down with $900 and $500 for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And that's pretty much what they're fighting for.
Yep, absolutely. But of course, this is just a very small piece of the pie. But when we look at the challenge stage, that's where the bulk of the money is. So when we eventually hit to the challenge stage and the team wins the entire thing, they get to walk away with $20,000 US, and it goes all the way down to $1,250 US for 7th and 8th place.
Yeah, that's a lot of money considering that they're on the line for all the players from across the region so far. We have seen teams from Laos, we've seen teams from Cambodia, we've seen teams from Malaysia as well. Everyone fighting for this spot, a chance of glory, as well as a pretty decent chunk of money for you guys to, you know, potentially buy yourself a couple of compensation gifts for your girlfriends or boyfriends if there is any girls playing in the tournament itself, which I feel like it's a pretty decent amount of money.
Yeah, it is pretty decent. Honestly, any money is decent, right? But the teams got to fight for it, and obviously the teams that have qualified for the challenge stage definitely will have at least secured the bare minimum. But we got to take a look at the brackets today. Bring us back to reality. This is the Open Finals. 8 teams remain, 4 in the upper brackets, 4 in the lower bracket. But today we focus on the upper bracket. EVO Esports versus GameLab and Sway Esports against PBN Strike.
Yep, and in case you guys are watching as well, for the lower brackets, Aero 404 is going to go up against Tiger Wong Esports, as well as ALVA 8 going up against Miracle Gaming. Is going to be happening. And of course, these are pretty much your top 8 who's pretty much secured their second lifeline to actually make it in towards the challenge finals. And that is where they will be facing off the remaining players who are already qualified there from the 4 regions of the first place of the 4 regions early on, which we did talk about as well. So we are going to be prying into the eyes of how some of these teams is going to be playing, give you guys the most amount of information when it comes to Mobile Legends meta itself.
And the best part is that these 8 teams right now are just fighting for prize money. They don't have to worry about challenge groups. They are already there. Let's take a look at today's schedule to give you guys a very quick idea of what's happening. Again, we are looking at the upper brackets only, so it's going to be GameLab against EVO Esports, and afterwards we have Sway against a PBN Strike. And I think this is great because the losers of today's series will still have a second chance in the lower bracket. So there's not too much of a risk for today's matches, but nonetheless we get to see more new faces on screen.
Exactly. When it comes to strategy as well, there is a lot on the line as well. Do they want to review all the cards that they have in their hand for this current brackets, or do they not? Because eventually somebody's going to be watching as well, especially for the pro teams who's competing here, who's currently sitting in the challenge finals. So that is going to be something to be considered as well. So there's a lot of integration and mentality building between the players, the teams, and what kind of angles they're going to be. Are they going to be throwing games? Are they going to be winning? We don't exactly know, but what I do know is that the meta is going to be changing very, very soon. So what's the point of saving cards? Go all out, trying to get a couple of chump change. That's the way to go. But without further ado, let us introduce the rosters for EVO Esports.
Yeah, we've seen EVO Esports play yesterday, and of course you have high praises for Zanri, you know, previously IDNS, and he's still actually rocking the IDNS tag for this tournament alongside Opper, Your Name, Flash1, and Abyston. Yesterday they had a very euphoric 2-1 victory in the upper bracket, and right now here they are taking on GameLab for a shot to make it into top 4.
You know, that's the thing. That's the beauty about playing on the best of 3 series, right? Best of 1s, arguably, sometimes you kind of drop the ball. Zanri, they played a S-Test composition, didn't exactly work out in their favor. He was known for his very aggressive playstyle. Kind of redeemed himself in Game 2 and Game 3 in yesterday's game with his Kufra plays as well as his Kaja, which kind of caught off guard as well. So I'm looking forward to see whether or not can he maintain their consistency, because we do see a little bit of slides of weakness coming from EVO Esports in terms of communication. Hopefully it will be resolved in today's games. But their opponents here, GameLab, is going to be up on screen as well as we introduce them to the roster.
And this will be the 5-man that takes on EVO Esports, Xbox, Take Naga, Aizawa, Yukizi, and Dogman. Of course, it is a team that we haven't seen, at least on broadcast so far. But when we talk about going up against EVO Esports and what they've done yesterday, obviously there are more expectations for the former team compared to this one, which is also a good thing. Now we get to see how far GameLab can take EVO Esports.
Yeah, now I'm a little bit curious as well. For those of you guys watching at home here, is this Xbox or is it Havost?
That is true.
Exactly.
That is true.
In my pronunciation, in my knowledge as well, that is pronounced as Havost in a different language.
In a different language, right? When I first saw that, when I first saw this
Xbox,
name,
right?
it was Havos. That's what we learned from a different title, at least.
Yeah.
I can rock with Havos.
I think it's Havos.
I think it's Havos. We'll go with that one.
Export.
Either or.
Either or.
We'll confirm that.
Yeah, of course. Please let us know as well in the comments. Is it Xbox or is it Havos? But what I do want to know from you guys talking in the Twitch chat as well, give us your votes and prediction. Who do you think is going to be the ones that come up top in this match? Is it going to be GameLab or is it going to be the other one? So in this case, I don't know. I feel like we've kind of made a little bit of prediction.
We definitely have, and let's take a look at it. Obviously, I'm going for Team Evo. And you were a Team Evo supporter yesterday. What happened?
To be honest, I think Evo has got it. Just because Xanry's got it here. After watching first game, he kind of flopped a little bit, going for a Enchanter playstyle. Game 2, Game 3, kind of redeemed himself. I'm putting my hopes up a little bit on GameLab because I feel like Evo Esports has got too many weaknesses that you can kind of capitalize on. And what I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not a bad player. They're good players, just that when it comes to team play-wise, it's a little bit lacking. Maybe because they are a relatively fresh, new team, kind of bonded just for the sake of tournament, etc. It could be anything. Either or, I want to see a little bit more. Maybe, I want to see them climb from the bottom, Maybe a little bit of wake-up call just to make sure that they should be playing the right game.
Maybe we are looking at a potential low bracket run, right?
Yep.
If you want to build up that Cinderella story, this is one of those opportunities. But of course, yesterday we talked so much about Xanry, but also Flash One. I think this was like the hidden MVP for that best of 3, and he's in that mage role. I think today, yesterday he showed pretty lot of flexibility, right? He even brought up that Lunox in Game 3. Do you think that is going to translate well into this series against GameLab?
I think Lunox is one of the most particular mages where he's super underrated. You don't feel his presence the early few minutes of the game, right? As I say, pre-8 is one of the biggest factors. But once he gets like a 3-item pickup, this is where you start to see like, hey, this Lunox is doing a little bit too much AoE damage as well. So I would say out of the mage department, Lunox is one that is considered a mid-tier late game core rather than an early one like such as Eve or maybe even sorry, what's the hero again?
Wait, your Fasa, Kadita?
No. Kadita.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, it comes down to the composition of how well you want to play the game as well. Do you want to play mid to late? Do you want to play early aggression? There's just a lot of compositions, but enough of speculation, enough of theory crafting. Why don't just we look into the draft right now? This is going to be game 1 between GameLab as well as EVO Esports. GameLab on the blue side and EVO Esports on the red side.
It's going to be very interesting. EVO Esports once more just deciding to go for a more reactive kind of response on that red side. Yesterday they did it in game 1, and that's how we got the Ube strategy that fell apart really quickly. But GameLab starts it off with a Johnson ban. This is something that we have not seen against a team like EVO and against them of all things.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Johnson here, a majority of teams across the region, they do tend to lean on banning it against a Cambodian team just because of how many seasons of MPL they have kind of played it around the composition, especially when Impunity Gage kind of brought it up, won MPL, and then still brought it up in MSC, and yada yada. So it's understandable, but I think it's just that much difficult to deal with in the right hands of the player. You just don't want to take a risk. It's kind of like a Fanny thing, right? Yeah. Not many people can play a pretty good Fanny, but a fairly decent one who knows how to play it can just completely destroy your game. So I think why not just take the risk and just ban it out? Not take the risk and just ban it out.
It's kind of like a more specific ban, right?
Yeah.
With the Kaja ban, that one is very understandable. Xanry does play that Kaja a lot. EVO also with a less common opening ban, right? It's the Moskov. It's a hero that yesterday I believe we saw once. You were not too big of a fan of Moskov, and understandably why, because that game ended up in a loss for Moskov overall. But these 3 bans are pretty out of place so far.
Well, if you're playing a Moskov in possibly Magic Chess. I can understand why. You know, it's just annoying for a 2 value coin to be jumping around doing so much damage in early stage of the game. I get it. Magic Chess, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
But in terms of ranked games, I don't think so. It's a little bit skeptical as well. It's great for chaining CCs in here and there, but aside from that, I don't think they're going for it. But at the same time, seeing how they kind of had a matchup against a Moskov/Grok, it's understandable that they don't want to potentially risk it, maybe expecting GameLab to actually bring up a Grok first pick to a certain degree. But based on the drafts here, I think there are a lot of meta picks that is pretty much let off the hook.
Oh, yeah.
Martis is being one of them as well. 1-1 is completely ignored. I
There's
think
like Fredrin, Carry.
Fredrin is also there, carries in the pool as well. So Evo Esports, they've got to pick the poison here. Is it going to be the Valentina? I feel like Valentina is just too much of a risk to let it go. But Glue is also another exception as well.
Yeah.
So there's just too many up in the open right now.
This is where we look at the rock, paper, scissors formula, right? If you pick Eve, I'll take Valentina. It's kind of like with the red pill or the blue pill. Though I think that, you know, judging from what GameLab has been banning, it seems like a lot of focus is being put onto Zanri, right? To get him off some of these heroes. I still think Kaja is probably the one with the biggest value. Farmis and Johnson, not too much.
Yeah.
That means that I think Zanri still has decent options, but for Evo, they decided they don't want to deal with the 1-1. Now we get to see what GameLab prioritizes.
I think the Faramis is understandable, considering that it is something that Evo Esports kind of lean onto as well based on yesterday's draft. But considering that if you are setting yourself for a glue pickup, banning off the Faramis isn't too bad if you think about it, just because of how its first skill kind of just does so much damage when the split's been formed, right? But GameLab, they just open up the first pick Joy, pretty standard coming from them. Evo Esports will get potential 2 power picks. Maybe the glue, maybe even a potential Martyrs, but I think they do want to lean on the Eve or Valentina a little bit more for Evo Esports.
And I think if Evo Esports, I feel like a safer opening for these first 2 picks feels like the Valentina would be a more decent option just because it's kind of a soft response to an Eve, right? If GameLab go for it. But at the same time, I think the Joy pick might make that glue less desirable because you don't really get to stick on that Joy anyways. Evo Esports is going to take a longer time trying to figure out what they want to go for. I think the Brody and the Fredrin will be the response.
Okay.
Decent. I guess it's a decent answer to the Joy. You have ways to stop her in these fights.
Okay, I can see the Fredrin for sure. Not too sure about the Brody, maybe just because of the fact that they're expecting maybe a potential Fanny, which I think if you put it from that perspective, right, Brody is a great way to deal with Fanny when Fanny dives in. You know, you have this auto skill just completely stuns him and just gets out of safety, right? Similar to Joy as well. I guess that's the idea that Evo Esports is drafting around it. They want to keep their options open for their potential jungler, flex it up a little bit more, maybe get a Martyrs, maybe even get Kadita if they want to, which I don't think isn't that too bad. But Farsa being picked up, Cho also being picked up from side of GameLab. I guess the Cho pickup was a little bit forced, expecting that there are still some teams that play a Cho to deal with a Feather Airstrike. So this is a pretty much an easy Valentina pickup for Evo Esports if they want to go for it.
Yeah, it's Valentina. I think the Yuzhong is now looks to be a juicy second phase pick, right?
Well.
You still can put Fredrin in jungle and have that Yuzhong completely disrupting this Farsa. But I think the 3 picks so far does make the Fredrin's life a bit more complicated, right? You have so many ways to keep him in place or to displace him. Whenever he presses the ultimate, you get a kickoff and suddenly Fredrin becomes so much less effective in these team fights. And I do like GameLab's approach thus far. You know, Brody also doesn't like to be kind of juggled around in these fights. I mean, GameLab's opening draft is very, very appealing to me, and Valentina comes through for Evo.
Yeah, it's pretty much a no-brainer as well. Just a free value Feather Airstrike just gives so much Terrify, and it's very disruptive against the composition for GameLab, especially for a Joy, which is very time-sensitive in its skills itself. But Evo Esports, I think the next idea they need to be opening up their pool here is going to be focusing on what Zanri is going to be playing to deal with all this, right?
Oh, yes.
How do they get dive backlines, right? Cho is a great way. Ruby is a pretty decent one as well. Kufra is not really the greatest, but considering that he has demonstrated that he can play a Kufra and it's a great way to deal with the Joy, I wouldn't be surprised that Kufra should be banned here for GameLab if they've done their homework. If they've done their homework. Franco isn't too bad as well. The Bloody Hunt does kind of lock down the Joy's mobilities, and it's understandable why they want to take it out of the equation. So Evo Esports, they will only need to focus on just banning of junglers, I guess.
I guess that's one way to approach it, right? I think the Hayabusa, there's the Ling, if they want to consider that as well. Though, maybe this would give Evo Esports a consideration that you want to go for the archive, potential archive jungle once more. That is one of the ways to displace, you know, the GameLab's draft with that heavy spin.
Oh, that good ban here.
That's the link. There we go.
Yeah, it's just not worth it as well. Evo Esports, they do like to lean on playing on a 5v5 composition rather than a 4-1 strategy, which we did kind of see the kind of flop in that department, right? There are teams that play with Benedetta, there are teams that play with Lynx. Not every team is comfortable with this, but the Kofra being banned off from GameLab, Xandri will have to pivot away from a different composition. I think Ruby isn't too bad. Lolita doesn't exactly give you the value against a Joy to a certain degree. Diggy, I wouldn't say Diggy is the best, but it is still a very viable option to kind of make sure that this Fredrin doesn't get completely hard CC'd by the Way of the Dragon. So, but no, okay, Matilda's pretty good.
I was thinking of the Matilda as well.
I like it.
Right, you go down the hierarchy, 5 bans committed just towards Xanri. I think the Matilda makes perfect sense. Loving what Evo Esports brings. Now you have a way not just to start a fight, but you have a way to really keep GameLab away to a certain extent. But you know, you see GameLab kind of doubling down on just trying to access that backline to be in the thick of things. Alice will be that choice. We saw one Alice game yesterday, but that one didn't went well.
I think when it comes to Alice, right, Alice is in a very peculiar situation where it's not necessarily strong, but it's not necessarily weak, right? It's all about going with the right composition. And when it comes to Alice, you always want to try and dive the backlines. In this case, the backlines from side Evo Esports is going to be either the Brody, which I don't think is a big threat. So when you pair it with a big wombo combo of the Blazing Duet, that's going to be a completely different story. So I think GameLab, they really want to play around the choke spots of AoE damage control, whereas Evo Esports, all they got to do is just play ring around roses and just kite of a team fight. And having the Esmeralda isn't too bad as well. It's a way to benefit from the shields coming from Joy. So both have very, very, I would say, different perspective of their game plan. But I feel like Evo Esports has an easier composition to play compared to GameLab's composition right now.
And this is an XP lane Fredrin as well, right? I think most likely directly.
No, it's I think it's a jungle.
It's Oppo though. It's an Oppo Fredrin.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think we're looking at a jungle Esmeralda. Haven't seen that for a very, very long time. But Evo Esports just opting for the long fight against GameLab, right? To see who outlasts one another in those team fights. Very, very interesting though. I honestly do have the same sentiment with you. I thought that Esmeralda is going to be the XP response, but maybe they just want Fredrin to have a more stable presence in that XP lane.
Well, they might be flexing it out. I'm curious to see how it goes, but without further ado, we're going to be jumping straight into the game in the upper brackets match here. This is going to be game 1 between both GameLab versus Evo Esports. This is going to be the match that you guys are going to be excited as well. One of the top contenders in the entire tournament itself is going to be battling it out. But it seems like we're going to be starting off right here, right now. And it is going to be an Alice jungle coming in from Takanaga and a jungle Frederick coming from Evo Esports.
Oh, so it's so in the end, okay, it's still jungle Frederick. So probably swap it at the very last second. Now that makes a lot more sense, right? It does make I think that's kind of the direction that you and I expected them to go towards. Though GameLab, though, very early attempt trying to disrupt this jungle. Unfortunately, they are outnumbered. Dogman getting a quick knock-up and instantly backs off. No rewards from that.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe GameLab would have went for a Joy jungle over the Alice jungle, which is kind of questionable for me, right? I was expecting maybe Alice going for an XP would benefit him more, considering that he needs to sit in lane, build up stacks, as well as just farm level. So having this Alice jungle, it puzzles me a little bit more because you're not going to get a lot of stacks from jungles, and it's weird. It's just weird for me in general.
Don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Yesterday it was played in that mid lane, but I guess it does give you that objective control. Though, with how Alice normally gets played, you want time, you want item. This doesn't really feel like GameLab is focusing a lot on that mid game.
Yeah, as you can see, Takanaga is just going to get harassed as well. He's jungling his way through, but he opted to waste a little bit more time to clear the minutes to build stacks, which kind of allows Evo Esports to actually just kind of rotate in, just going for the fight. But now with the Joy play coming from Favos,
oh my goodness,
and Flashron taking a little bit too much damage, but at the same time, it is an XP Joy. He doesn't necessarily have the damage output in the early stage, but it seems like he's actually building towards the magical damage department in the early stage. Maybe a genius one from the get-go. Turtle turtle now, being contested from both sides. GameLab already in position to do so. They've got the AoEs to do so. Better effort trying to zone them up, and they will secure the turtle in their favor. And at expense, they will take down Your Name in the process with this Alice, and it's somehow working out in their favor.
Yeah, Your Name tried to get in completely crowd control. That's one of the banes of Fredrin. You stand there and you eat that feather airstrike. It's a absolute disaster for this Fredrin. And you know, at the same time, Matilda and Zanri was on the other side of the pit. No backup coming from EVO Esports. A bit of a kind of a disjointed attempt at the turtle, but good start for GameLab.
Yeah, and so far, that was something I didn't expect as well. I think I didn't bring up the fact that they've got so much crowd control in the AoE damage output, right? But at the same time, I just didn't understand what EVO Esports was thinking about, right? They could not force a fight, knowing that they need at least X amount of items, and they've already pretty much lost Valentina from the get-go, and they still tried to force a fight in Turtle, which was something that kind of puzzles me a little bit here. Why would you force a fight when you're a man down and just give a body for no apparent reason? So I think GameLab took a very, very good advantage of this situation. They preemptively dropped massive ultimates, which is logically, it's one of the worst plays possible. You kind of want to save up to try and set it up for the right moment, but knowing that there is no Valentina around, preemptively sending it out just completely scares them off. And I think they're playing a different aspect of the game from what normal Mobile Legends game that I'm used to seeing here. There is a lot of psychological factor being put into this gameplay coming from GameLab, which is something I'm really surprised that this actually happened. A lot of preemptive spells being used out to zone them out.
And I think that also kind of makes me a bit worried for this jungle Fredrin, right? In a lot of these situations, there are targets you can't really catch, like the Joy, but at the same time, you can't really stand in the fight for too long. There is a plethora of magical damage from Alice, the Fasa, like you pointed out just now. Joy is going magic damage as well. Does raise a concern for a hero like Fredrin, where you are forced to stand there and take those bursts.
Yeah.
Can get pretty tough.
I think it's the difficult part about building the items right now is that they need to at least have a Radiant Armor or / Oracle or Athena Shield. Like, most importantly, you need that initial Radiant Armor first before they can actually engage a fight against GameLab. And on top of it all, while you need that, you need a Dominance Eyes, not because it's against magic, but it's because it's counter regen, which is something that I think is very difficult to build on a Fredrin, considering that you need like those Sky Garden helmets, you don't need those Curse helmets. So there's a lot of work that I think EVO Esports needs to have before they can actually take a full-fledged fight against GameLab. So this is going to put GameLab in a very good position. They were able to harass the Alice, but I think this early stage of the game, I did not expect the Alice to be so annoyingly hard to kill.
Yeah,
which is weird.
I think it's fair that EVO Esports actually didn't have much damage. I mean, when you look at the department that they had, minus the Valentina, Brody isn't exactly in fighting shape 2 minutes in. It's Fredrin, Matilda, they're just not good candidates to contest against GameLab.
It's tough, you know. It's really tough to see what's the win condition right now for EVO. Considering that they made a little bit small blunder, all they gotta do is just buy time. And if you talk about buying time, how long can they buy? Because a Brody in the ultra later stage of the game is not necessarily the strongest compared to a Claude. So Brody shines in pre-8 or level 8 at his most when he actually joins the fight. And in this case, I think GameLab might actually consider just wrapping out the game before it actually hits that stage here. And with this small lead, EVO Esports now, they are going to play a little bit more defensive to make sure that Your Name gets his buff instead.
It's fair to say that if this game drags out late enough, it's still kind of a GameLab favorite match when we hit that, beyond 12-minute mark.
Yeah, it's a little bit they have to wait for this, I guess. But based on itemizations here, we do see an early potential Steel Licks coming in from Xandri, Molten Essence coming from Fredrin. Esmeralda is going to go for the Enchanted Talisman build, but on the bottom lane, EVO Esports, they're going to get dived in by GameLab, but unfortunately, they just don't have the tools to actually dive them, considering that GameLab needs EVO Esports to actually dive onto them to counter-engage, and that's the strength where GameLab has, right? Their initiation may not necessarily be the strongest. They have to rely solely on Takanaga to actually start this fight with this Alice, which oftentimes very easily dodgeable with his first skill.
Yeah, and at the same time, the jungler is a level ahead, right? Aizawa is... Oh, not Aizawa, Takanaga, he is one level ahead of Your Name. And Dogman is just constantly scouting the bottom lane, so you are not only forcing Piston away, but you're also taking control of that bot side. Silver lining though, that turtle is spawning on that top side as well, so Evo Esports, they get to reset this one, but on the 10 seconds until the next objective spawns, Evo Esports, they're struggling to gain control of that turtle pit. And even if they do, again, we are looking at the damage department, which they lack.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, but seeing how the second turret is going to be up for grabs as well, once again, Evo Esports at a deficit, still wants to try to force a fight, potentially go for the retribution, but Flash 1 steals the Phantom Airstrike, tries to turn away, and they actually did not get it. So that's going to be GameLab trying to flex their way with those turtles here. Pure damage coming from Takanaga, re-engage, trying to force your name out. He's going to try and make a run for it, however, he does have the sustains, and this time, GameLabs, they have to back out. Takanaga trying to hold on for his dear life. He's got his buddy in this process, but they have to back out. Her boss also bullied out by Opera, and this is the level 8 timings that Evo Esports is finally going to be kicking in. However, they just did not get any single kills in these skirmishes.
Very split skirmish, but it was very crucial for Opera to zone out her ball, and an ambush setup in the jungle. Your Name tries to save his buddy. Zanri does use that ultimate, heals up just for a bit, but not for long. Double kill for Takanaga. Best case scenario for GameLab. Maybe Oppa can get an exchange, but Dogman, he is a bit tanky. Flash one shows up, instantly rooted down by Takanaga, and Habok also shows up. Evo Esports cannot get anything done.
My goodness, what a setup coming from GameLab as well. They set up an ambush to punish Evo Esports just like that. And on the bottom lane as well, they picked off Biston. That is a huge pickoff coming from GameLab as they kind of try and pull on in the medal. However, now Evo Esports is in a very, very difficult position. Their combat mechanics solely depends on maybe the Esmeralda coming up online, and I think right now he does have enough items. He's building up to his dominance eyes, he's building up to his potential Orgo, and that's where he matters most. And for how long can this drag this on? Because GameLab, they're just going ham right now.
Tough game for Flash Run. Just only got that Clock of Destiny, so behind in goal, just around 500 behind Aizawa. 4-0 so far for GameLab, but man, you look at that goal deficit, it is 4,000, close to 4,000.
That's huge. When the junglers just completely destroy the other jungler, in this case Fredrin, not being able to get the efficient farm that he needs, this is not looking good for Evo Esports. Third turtle is going to be out for grabs. Evo Esports has no choice but to concede this time. They've lost not once but twice now. Radiant Armor purchase out, but Dogman is going to help deal with the potential Farsa out being stolen by Flash One. But now, Evo Esports, they have to retreat. You can see the catches are coming in. Your Name is there, going to be going for harassments. However, he might be taking a little bit too much. But at the same time, you can start to see that Evo Esports is starting to adapt to this Alice, which is lack of a lot of stacks here. Meanwhile, Xbox as well, also a very difficult contender to actually peel off as well. Now, for the cake, Dogman, is he going to go for the jump? I don't think that he should. He's going to back out instead.
Habok just took 0 damage from that. Had to use the Vengeance in that exchange, but that one is coming up in less than a minute. GameLab able to cut that wave between the tier 1, tier 2 turret up top, so that means tier 1 is secured. They're really trying to get something by Habok. Not the easiest target to catch up though. It is a Joy. Those infinite dash is going to cause a lot of problems. Better airstrike into a Joy, running around, just bulldozing through Piston. They're all dying across the map. Tree going down from Evo Esports, and Oppa trying to keep the dream alive. Does have that shield up, but it's against 3 members of GameLab. Aizawa just poking and prodding from afar. Oppa looking for a pickup, finally finds him. Is now Dogman and the both trying to close out this kill. Oppa still staying alive, but they're losing map control. I mean, GameLab are working the top lane, tier 2 going down. Oppa still going, her ball able to survive. Oppa looking for the kill, can't find it. Dogman and her ball both running away, but Oppa, he is so desperate for something. Just out of range, Dogman finds him, gets the kick.
He might die.
Backwards, Oppa still healing up. Loses that fight, play like a fiddle.
Oh my goodness, Oppa, he got so desperate with that play. GameLab completely outplayed it by an inch. It could have gone either or, but Oppa definitely the saving grace for Evo Esports. Bought so much space for the team, but at the same time,
they lost all tier 2.
Space worth it, because as of yet his teammates could not capitalize on it. And meanwhile, GameLab just dominating on all fronts. Now Havos gonna be going for the flank as well as they dive the backlines. Matilda Zanri just keeping Your Name alive, but no, the catch coming from Dokkamon is gonna take him out, and that's gonna be another pickoff as well with the way of the Dragon. Evo Esports, no response whatsoever.
Just what a clean game of Mobile Legends thus far. 9 minutes in, that Lord is pretty much secured by GameLab. All tier 2 going down simultaneously almost. Evo Esports basically locked in their base at this point.
Oof, this is very, very difficult to see for Evo Esports to actually go down. GameLab, however, full map control. They know they've got to finish this game as quickly as they can, knowing that Evo Esports will start to develop the resistance to actually tank through all this damage. Of course, now kinda out of control as well. They've got the feathered airstrike. It almost chips down to Valentina. But as of yet, Evo Esports, they've just got so much to worry about as of now. With GameLab having the Lord knocking in the middle lane and tower, Evo Esports might need to throw bodies for this defense.
I honestly think they need to do so. I mean, GameLab is in their base. Takinaga is in, still killing up as the Lord pummels that mid inhibitor. Takinaga now locked down, suppressed. Does have the invulnerability for a while. They want to take Takinaga down, but it took forever. Yuktizi in with that ultimate. One member down for the side of Evo Esports, and that is Oppa out of the picture. The Lord now pummeling on that crystal. Piston barely gets away. GameLab wants to do some damage. Your name in thick of things, and now the counter engage comes in for Evo Esports. Her bow is out. Dogman is also done. Yuktizi is just in the face of Piston. Gets the kill, gets out. Zanri dashes forward, finds the shutdown, but damage is done. GameLab gets out with 3.
That should not have happened, but Evo Esports manages to hold on. GameLab using Takanaga as a bait. Evo Esports almost committed to that fight, but as soon as the Blazing Duet came in, everyone from Evo Esports scattered, resetted, and re-engaged the fight, prolonged it long enough to hold on for their dear lives. However, they are still at a 6k deficit. Radiant Armor purchase up on Your Name has significantly helped a lot with the dominant side to try and reduce Takanaga's power spike. However, now seems like the engagement comes in as well as her boss doing a lot more damage with this Joy, but it's slowly going to be diminishing over time because of the dominance by Ice as well as the Radiant Armor's effects coming from Evo Esports.
And Piston couldn't find an opening in these fights, right? Wants to get a stack off, but they just dive in now. Flash Will, the Dragon is going to be backwards to the fountain for Zanri unless he gets out. Yes, he does, right on time, and now the taunt comes through. Takinaga in the forefront. Bursted by Piston. Habok not able to provide any assistance. Evo Esports once more hold on.
This is crazy, crazy attempts as well. Great flicker engagement coming from Dogman. However, it was a little bit too risky, but Takanaga, this is the problem with Alice, right? You need to build out this stacks as much as you can because it does gives you a little bit more XP, more power spike in terms of mobility as well. And Evo Esports knows for a fact that as long as this Alice is not in the lane soaking up those stacks, it is going to be very difficult. And it's very similar to Seceded to a certain degree. However, they are going to have a boss prime right time for this, but Evo Esports, they're able to hold on and they won't get a pick off right from the get-go. However, down on the bottom side, this is go time for GameLab to actually break the crystal, but no, they back out instead. They did not know that no one's home.
No minion wave, but they did get the bot inhibitor though, so all things considered, still good trade for GameLab. They have to give up her box in the process of 15 seconds before her box is back by the airstrike. Piston brought down low already. Evo Esports looking to jostle for position at the Lord, but GameLab, they started it up. They don't even need her box to be in the equation if Evo Esports can't get near. Yuktizi, he's just in the forefront. Your Name engages with a taunt. Matilda, Zanri straight to the backline, but no retribution for the Lord. And Oppa, he's in too deep. 3 members of GameLab on top of him, and Yuktizi just finds an easy kill. The Blazing Duet not connecting onto Piston, but Piston is in a very tough place. The torn apart memory does get the exchange. GameLab only got 1.
Well, Evo Esports, they're finally building up a little bit more sustainabilities with Zanri. However, with this next Lord coming in, if they can defend against this, they might have a potential comeback to this game. But GameLab, they've got to throw bodies for this because as of yet, they cannot let this drag out any longer. Better Ezra comes in, harass Piston. He's going to go for a reset, but he is still technically alive. But they're throwing bodies for it, but it's going to be the Joy that finishes the bomb. They pull it back, they get the kill, and now the crystal's exposed. Evo Esports, they need to wrap this out. Do they focus on the crystals? GameLab just picking off the players one by one. They're killing it off all like flies. Double kill coming in from Takanaga as it continues with his assault. He's got the sustains. He's dragged it long enough, and now they're all 1 HP, but it doesn't matter. The crystal is over, and GameLab takes game 1 against Evo Esports.
My hidden MVP, Dogman, just that very last second in the thick of the fight, finds that flash roundhouse onto Piston of all people, GameLab with a very commanding Game 1 over EVO. What a series GameLab has shown us thus far, at least for an opening statement.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one coming in from EVO Esports, considering that how that was an absolute beatdown. Never seen an Alice jungle, but somehow GameLab made it work. So well done indeed. But in case you miss out in action, let's take a look at the highlights on how things kind of went down for GameLab. If you think about it, the way they played around their ultimates and CC controls, they were always isolating EVO Esports, which is great and all, but EVO Esports, you can see the saving grace is pretty much Opper in most of these scenarios. And this was a very important fight for him. If he gotten these 2 kills right here, EVO Esports game would not have been this hard.
Yeah, you at least get some values for losing all your tier 2s, but it's just so tough, Terrence. I mean, GameLab, we saw the bans coming out from all 5 bans targeted at one specific member of EVO. They're trying to shut down Zanri. 5 of his heroes taken out of the pool. They basically gave EVO Esports a buffet and say, here are at least 5 prio picks to choose from. Which do you want to go for? And at the end of it, only the Fredrin, honestly, is the one that kind of got through it. GameLab just shut that down.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, I did not expect this to happen, right? But you can see the desperation coming from GameLab, right? If they did not win this fight, that's pretty much EVO Esports' ticket back into the game, knowing that they could have just completely wiped the floor with them. But as we had GameLab, beautiful game coming in from them. They got all the items here. YuTZ decides to sell off items. If you were in MPL, you would have gotten a penalty off from the marshals for doing something like that for production. But it's all good. You're not in MPL. You're here with us. It's okay. I want to see what kind of items you do, but I'm going to just take a dash. Golden Staff, DHS, yada yada yada.
I mean, he is going to bring that recipe to the grave. No one would ever know what this Claude bought in Game 1. Unless you watch the game, of course.
Fair enough, fair enough. But at the same time, Xbox going for the Joy as well. His first item purchase was the glowing one, which is kind of interesting considering that I was expecting maybe a genius one, etc. But I guess he wanted to try and compensate around Takanega's lack of damage output for early stages of the game by giving that small passive ability to try and chip down into the HP of Frederick, which is arguably one of the, I would say, the magic version of the DHS, which is weird, but I guess if you put it that way, it's pretty good. Yeah. Because it allowed your name to not do anything at all in the early stage of the game.
Yeah, actually, I think at one point he was 0-4 right after the first 3 turtles. It was it's tough game for Fredrin. GameLab gave it to EVO like a Christmas present, but it doesn't really matter, you know, for EVO. They had a plan to do with it. And you're right, it is a Habos.
Habos? Really?
Habos? Yeah, 100%. We got confirmation. It's a boss, and of course, you know, it's a very nostalgic name if you go all the way back. Nonetheless,
TI1. I'm just gonna drop in at TI1, TI2, man.
Yeah, absolutely, one of the TI winners, in fact. But let's talk Mobile Legends, made possible by our friends and partners over at Snapdragon Elite Gaming when winning matters. I mean, GameLab came out with an opening statement, but of course it is Snapdragon Elite Gaming that gave everyone the platform to demonstrate what they're made of, so we are really grateful to be on this journey with them. But of course, alongside Snapdragon Elite Gaming with Samsung Galaxy, the latest addition to this SPS family, and right now they've walked with us for, I believe, half a year, and it's just going stronger and stronger. So check out their latest phone, the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Share the epic moments of your game.
Yeah, be sure to do that, because without all of the sponsors, you will not have all this amazing setups. You can see all the assets here, all the flashy lights for you guys to enjoy a pretty good show. So we've got Statsman working as well. We've got casters like us entertaining you guys. Are you guys entertained yet? I'm pretty sure you guys are, right? So thank you to all of them. And of course, if you guys did not unleash the beast, now's a good time to try it out. You can get yourself a Monster Energy in the website below and unleash yourself to the wilderness and release the Anaconda, bro.
Yeah, check them out, www.monstergaming.com, monsterenergy.com/gaming. And last but not least, if you're looking for the best deals to get your in-game diamonds, well, I have just a pit stop for you, www.kachishop.com. That is where you can get the best, greatest deals, game top-ups. Don't look anywhere else. Diamonds are waiting for you.
Yep, diamonds are forever, baby. In this case, it's a little bit too late for Valentine's. Hopefully you'll try next year. But like I said, another last final advice for you guys is save money. You need it 9 months later. Thank me later. But for now, we're going to be taking a short break before we come back with game number 2. My name's ICP12. He's Husky. We'll see you guys right out of this short one.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Rhythm and I'm up the beat. When they all look, everything on fleek. Word in the street, got my sound on repeat. Do it all day, every day of the week. Getting turned up, we feeling lively. On the dance floor, where you gonna find me? Here comes the drop, it's time to party. Here comes the drop, it's time to party. Up the beat, when they all look, everything on fleek. Do it all day, every day. Mad up the beat, when they all look, everything on fleek. Do it all day, every day. Every day of the week, getting climb up, we feeling lively. On the dance floor, where you gonna find me? Here comes the drop, it's time to party. Here comes the drop, it's time to party.
You got problems, just let them go. Tonight I really wanna see you lose control. A lot of drinks and flashing lights. Don't this make you wanna go and start a fight? Don't it make you wanna dance and hit the floor? Make you throw your hands and drink some more. We tearing up the club until it close. Tonight I really wanna see you lose control. I thought in this spot tripping out with my girl. Me and my people get broke while we don't like following rules. Swerve crew, standing on couches and tying our shoes. Bands laced up, and when they be drumming, you know we gon' do what we do. Turn up, turn up, turn up. And we gon' keep going until we start seeing the sun come up. And I'ma keep drinking whatever they keep putting up in my cup. And please tell me if I am tripping, but I think I can sip my cup on the top of a butt. We don't ever do a lot of sleeping, partying all night and every weekend.
Oh, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series Mobile Legends Bang Bang Season 1 Open Finals. We just finished Game 1 between GameLab and Evo Esports. This is the upper bracket semi-final, so the only risk the teams are taking is the trip down to the lower bracket. No eliminations after this one. My name is Husky alongside IC Baby 1-2. I know we talked about how Game 1 was just an absolute beatdown from GameLab, but I definitely want to hear a bit of your input on how that happened. But before we go into analytics, just want to quickly thank our friends and partners over at Snapdragon Elite Gaming. When winning matters, they gave us the platform to commentate these amazing games, but they also gave the players this platform to demonstrate how good and how passionate they are in the game of Mobile Legends Bang Bang. So
thank you guys so much for being a loyal sponsor to all of us here and having us on board to bring you one of the best Mobile Legends action across the region and Southeast Asia in general. But as of yet, I'm really surprised, you brought up this very interesting topic about how whether or not Evo Esports can they make a comeback into this game. because if you think about it, this is a very similar recurring trend to what I said about how EVO is. Yesterday was a good example. First game, they kind of dropped the ball. They came back game 2, game 3. It's all about adapting. It's all about trying out your strategies. In this case, game 1, they just weren't expecting that Xanri's heroes got completely shut down. They tried the composition that supposedly should have worked, considering that how Frederick just got completely shut down by GameLab. GameLab definitely pulled up some really, really interesting pocket strategies and came up on top. So now it's all about the adapting phase. Yes, we know Xanri's got the experience for it, but we do see a lot of miscommunications coming from Team EVO from yesterday's game and today's game. So it's all about adapting. GameLab, however, their communications are very, very spot on. So I like that GameLab has that momentum going forward, like how their opponents of EVO was. Maybe, and just maybe, they can get the clean 2-0. But my predictions was 2-1 GameLab, and yours was
we always go for the 2-1s, you know. We always milk the series as much as possible. But I think that if you're in EVO Esports position, I think the first thing that you gotta address is what do we do moving forward in the game 2. Now that there's a potential that one of our players gets completely locked out of his hero pool, right? You know, we see that 5 Xanri hero banned from GameLab. Obviously, EVO right now have the priority. They are on blue side. And GameLab has shown we banned 5 of Xanri's heroes. Let him pick whatever he wants. We do not care at all.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit more on how draft works, right? Meta is by far the most efficient way of taking out a game, right? You have to pick the strongest heroes. You can pick blah, 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 blah. There is a reason why Fredrin is meta. Right? There's S tier, blah, 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 blah. But you must also understand that even though it's meta, there are different sort of metas. There are easy to use heroes meta, and there are extremely high skill cap heroes that are meta. Example, Fanny is one of them. Fredrin is actually considered one of them, not because of how hard it is to play the hero. It's finding opportunities, timings, and catches that is what makes it super hard. Because if you compare Fredrin with Cho has stronger catch potentials compared to Fredrin because of how mobile it is. And even then, you could see that GameLab, oftentimes, Dogman was struggling to find those perfect catches. So I feel like leaning on to metas that are really difficult to play or requires high skill level, why not just lean on something that's easier, such as like a Martis, which completely, I don't know why, nobody plays it. It's weird. It's so weird.
You've been a huge Martis advocate. I did, you know, just for our benefit, I also did some more research. Went back home, played a couple of games, read up on Martis, and actually put it into practice. And I do understand why Martis is such a favorite hero for you. But I think at the same time, he does come with his limitations, right? We saw Martis perform yesterday. It was also one of those games where, yeah, I stay in the fight, but if I don't start getting that execution reset going, it becomes a big problem for my team where I don't have the damage. And I think that's something that most of these teams are worried about. GameLab though, switching it up with the 1-1, still have that Johnson ban coming through. Maybe we would see that Kufra in phase 2, but for EVO, now they make some adjustments. The Joy out.
Yeah, the Joy's gotta go. Like, there was just too many meta picks being let off as well. EVO Esports, they were playing a little bit funny. They could have just drafted the Kufra from the get-go, but GameLab, they banned it off in the second phase, which kind of limited Xanri's capabilities of doing anything against Joy. Like, Joy was just running out of control. I think they played a pretty solid composition of GameLab for sure. Kaja being banned, pretty no-brainer, but now opening first pick EVO Esports, do they still stick with the Fredrin? Personally, not a big fan of it.
I guess it's kind of
no way.
They go for that was the hero that they banned just now, right? The first hero they banned was Moskov. I just wanted to say, like, yeah, Kufra is a good choice, but it's always feels bad when you have to blind pick a Kufra in phase 1. So maybe that's why EVO didn't go for it. But there you go. We don't get Martis, but we get your Kadita finally making it through. Glue also comes through from GameLab. Big concern for Moskov right now.
No, okay. Personally, I'm a little bit surprised by this first pick, Moskov. Like, it feels like EVO Esports and GameLab has played each other before in the past, and that's why they have some sort of memories of each other's playstyle. But I think Moskov going up against Glue isn't that great, to be honest. But I don't know, we shall see.
I'm more worried about, you know, this Kadita pick on the side of GameLab, right? Because unless you're doubling down like EVO, who decides to go for Fredrin and a Julian, we're getting an interesting approach from EVO. This is what they kind of pulled out in game 2, complete switch up of the draft. But I want to get into like how is this looking right now?
Julian is one of the most broken heroes prior to this current patch, right? It's just you can play jungle, you can play XP, you can play mid lane, whatever, you know, it's just that broken. But in current patch, it has nerfed to a point that it's so difficult. And I've talked about how when it comes to meta heroes, right, Julian is not just not super strong, it's strong still, but it's so very difficult to execute those kind of big setups and ultimates, etc. And in this case, the only other player that I've seen on the world stage that has been able to demonstrate a freakingly godly Julian is Justin from Falcon Esports. And currently nobody has been able to replicate despite the multiple nerfs. So I'm not exactly sure what's going through Evo's Esports' mind, but I think they might lean on the jungle Julian rather than the Frederick, considering how Your Name was struggling in Game 1, but I might be wrong. It's a great setup for it's a great way to deal with the glue split space to a certain degree, but I don't think that's enough damage, to be honest.
I agree. The question also is, who do you catch? You don't want to commit on a glue. Kadita isn't the easiest to catch, and then now you have an Alice, which is going to most likely go into the jungle again for GameLab. They are not shy to reveal this one because they are just so confident with it in the front line. And also right now, if you have Julian and Frederick who wants to go in front, who's going to protect the backline? That was a problem that Evo Esports struggled yesterday when they played their series.
This is indeed a very difficult one to be in as well. Atlas also being banned from GameLab, knowing that they are looking for this wombo combo strategy. GameLab, they may consider going for it again. They've got the Alice jungle pretty much showed their hand as well. They're going for the Kadita for the mid-lane mage. They've got a decent amount of magical power damage. So physical-wise, I think there's a lot. They can still go for the Beatrix. They can go for a Cho tank if they want to. They can flex the glue into XP as well, which is something that I think GameLab might be leaning on towards that direction. But I think Evo Esports right now, their biggest threat right now is that how do they out-sustain GameLab in terms of sustainability, have enough damage to burn through this. If you think about it, I talked about this as well, Carry would have been an amazing marksman to just chunk through all this temp HPs or max HP percentage. Moskov doesn't do jack shit. I'm sorry to say, it doesn't do anything. Maybe against a split, sure. But they need to find a way to set up for this Moskov stun. Grok isn't too bad for Evo Esports. If they go for it, it's great. If they don't, I think going for Matilda is terrible in this composition. They need some way to re-engage this fight. So having the Zerion Mage means that they are potentially doubling down on, Julian XP instead of
what if I was want to say Grok? Like I want to echo that, right?
I think Grok would fit Rome role right now for Evo Esports.
It's a decent option. Honestly, we had this. We went through this yesterday talking about how Carry is one of the best blind pick marksmen, and yet we don't see it often enough. It's
weird.
It is weird. Melissa for GameLab, the final pick. Definitely not Double Xavier. We will find out who the Zanri go for Evo. But it is safe to say that GameLab, again, just came up with another solid draft, and Evo decides to completely forego what they did in Game 1 and try to switch it up for this one.
I wouldn't be able to say what GameLab has one of the strongest compositions, but they do have a pretty balanced one as of now. I'm still not convinced with the Alice jungle, but seeing how Game 1 went, it might be a problem for EVE Esports. So hopefully this solution, which is not the double savior, of course, is going to be the ideal way to actually deal with it. So we're going to be jumping straight into game number 2 very, very shortly. I want to see what kind of drafts they are going to be bringing to the table, and that is going to be what excites me. That's the beauty about esports. That's the beauty about playing a competition. You don't know what we're expecting. We can predict the drafts for you guys. You guys predict what you guys want to see. But without further ado, we're jumping straight into game number 2. This is going to be Evo Esports going up against GameLab, with GameLab currently 1 game ahead.
Selena for Zanri.
Oh.
Does this change anything for Evo?
High risk, high reward composition coming from Evo. Like, if they get the perfect arrow, that's a complete snipe down for regardless of whatever hero GameLab brings to the table. If it doesn't happen, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think this is just Evo saying that we're going to try and play fast, right? We are not going to give you space. Zanri will kind of do the honor. Running aside Your Name, you had this Selena Julian, and it just absolute burst. They do have the setup, you know, with Flash One on this Xavier. Now the question is, how far and how fast can they do this? Appa found her both in the river, her both able to get away with a slither of health. Dokman there to provide a bit of backup. Early scuffle in Evo's favor.
This is difficult to see. how this is happening here. But I'm glad the Evo Esports is finally taking the initiation, which they should be with the SINAI arrows. But GameLab, they definitely need to play this a little bit slower here, considering that they need a little bit more ultimates coming in here. The first turtle engagement is going to be very important for them. They need to be the ones very aware Zanri is, but Takanaga, he might actually die to this, and yes, he will. That's going to be a complete takedown here. Zanri will gladly sacrifice his life for this, and this is huge because that completely changes the dynamic on what GameLab was trying to do, similar to how Game 1 went.
Yeah, and just, unlike Game 1, Evo actually has damage for those early game fights. You no longer have to worry about, oh, we can't take down this Alice in time. There's a problem with the glue. There is more than enough burst. And that means that Dortmund can just casually walk in. You can just die in a full combo. Zanri is around. Yorni is starting up the turtle. And Oppa is going to hit 4 from that passive XP gain as well. Evo Esports in a better position to deal with GameLab. As long as Oppa is alive, he's going to get kicked back though. Cannot even use his skills, but they get a double knockout for your name. Dortmund, not like this. Sniped down by the Dawning Light. Herbo trying to get away with a split, decides to stick onto your name and bring him back into Zanri's face as well. Maybe Herbo can get something out of this one. Has to detach himself and now finds himself trapped between 3 members of Evo, and that means it will be kill number 2 going over to Flash One.
Nicely done coming from Evo Esports, but as soon as I say this, they do have the solution now. But interesting enough, now the turtle still going in the hands of the game despite the skirmishes coming from Evo Esports, but never did I thought that they are going to be taking... Oh, hold that thought for now. Oper going to be forcing a fight as well. Here comes the Dawning Light. Actually enough to snipe down Takanaga. But now, with the Ocean's Odyssey coming in, Ocean's Breath coming in from Aizawa, almost taking out the remaining members of Evo Esports, they somehow trade 50-50s here.
They still want Oppa's hit. Dortmund looking for an opening. Has the flash, has his roundhouse kick. The taunt actually buys a bit of time, but Dortmund still finds the kick, and with Pavos by his side, they get the kill onto Oppa.
Yeah, that's crazy coming from GameLab trying to make that attempt. However, interesting enough, I did not expect Evo Esports to actually take advantage of how the split is going to be able to extend the blades coming in from Xavier. And it's actually helping them because that's doing so much damage, and it actually helps Flash One to be in a position where he can just dish out damage from a relatively safe distance, knowing that every single time glue is going to be running in your face. So, interesting enough, hopefully he finds those right angles, but Evo Esports definitely feeling a little bit more comfortable compared to game number 1. Julian Jungle is definitely making works for them. However, Corruption side purchase coming in from UTZ, not even having the shoes available. So he's going to be sitting in the goal lane for quite a number of time. Meanwhile, mid lane, they get a nice catch coming by Aizawa's Petrify. So feels bad for your name, nothing you can do about it.
Yep, and Herbo just casually walks by that mid lane. Now they take control of the top river. There is still plenty of time for your name to respawn, kind of set up for the turtle fight, but Dortmund, he is very, very deep. He knows that Evo Esports aren't going to show themselves unless they have the full squad. This is a big problem. At least if you are in business position, it is so oppressive from GameLab side.
Yeah, and as of yet, Takanaga could be farming his way through, building up stamina, he's mirroring Opera to a degree, but it's not exactly the right target. This is a jungle versus XP lane. Meanwhile, top lane, they get a jump onto his Bista, the kick comes in, they're overextending, but the burst comes in from Aizawa. It's going to be enough to take him down. Flash One tries to do all he can. Her boss there does have the split spin. Is it going to connect? No, he does not. Your name locks it in place. And that is going to be Evo Esports with the defense coming in.
Yeah, very important kill on this glue. That is going to at least draw out this turtle. GameLab can't go on it without her box around. Evo Esports also get a slight reset as Piston just respawned, but GameLab, they're going to do what they have done before. Onto the turtle they go. So far, they've claimed all the turtles in Game 1, and they've claimed the first 2 in Game 2 as well. Evo Esports just could not win objective fights.
Interesting. Now, Evo, they're going to try and take down the tier 1 down middle, which is kind of risky. They have Takanaga available, but the Xavier stuns are kind of kick in as well. It's going to do some significant amount of damage. This tier 1 is pretty much a lost cause. Not worth it, but they're throwing bodies for this Dogman. Might actually get bursted down. Appraisal Raft doesn't connect, but Xandri overcommits it, but they eventually get the kill. However, no, they did not. The top side, they actually picked up Biston instead. So GameLab, they were shifting their focus down middle lane, but they actually lost their member up top. It was all a bait. Evo Esports completely not knowing what's happening in terms of a top lane.
Yeah, they can't. The 2 members of GameLab walked away with minimal health. They lost 2 Tier 1 towers in the side lane, and they lost Biston for the second time in this game. I mean, GameLab is just punishing Evo Esports for any maneuver. Dortmund just so far forward, forcing the flicker out of Opera as well. And as for Dortmund, he still has that Way of the Dragon, and GameLab now looks for that mid-tier 1. You have her boss and Dortmund just posturing around that left side of the jungle. Dawning Light used already. Her ball, he's just going to go in with the split. Dortmund putting his body in front, looking for an angle to get the kick. They lock him down, but the tier 1 is gone.
Yeah, this is definitely very, very difficult situation to be in as well. But GameLab, they've got full control, they've got economy, but this time they are going to try and contest the purple buffer as well. They're sending Opper in. He's going to sacrifice his life for absolutely nothing. Xandri trying to go for the arrow. Big Dawning Light comes in, but they just don't have to follow up. Takanaga just a little bit too annoying to handle in terms of sustainability. Aizawa sitting in the bush waiting for a perfect bait. And I think Evo, they know something is up. And Aizawa has not shown his face yet. And they know if they go in, that is going to be the perfect trap coming in. They need to figure out how to deal with this Kadita as of yet. But as soon as I say it, now you see me, now you don't. Goodbye, your name.
Top tier 2 down, TZ making quick work of that, and Hurdle spawns. Middle lane also shoved in. I mean, GameLab just great macro play at this point. There's no space for Evo Esports to work around, and we're seeing the same problem with this Fredrin. He can't get his spells off, and if he can't get his spells off, he doesn't do anything. And Biston once more just... I mean, you're in a situation where 2 tanks are killing you in the lane. Just absolute brutality.
That's the power of Glue, man. He just does so much damage. The first combo with first and second skill is a lot of damage. Paired up with the ultimate and the first second skill, that's pretty much 70% HP gone from a full combo. So it feels bad for him. There's nothing he can do. He traded objectives for Evo Esports, but for how long can he trade his life for it? Because eventually he needs to be dishing out damage against all these players. In this case, GameLab getting control of the Lord once again. The arrow connects from Havos, but at the same time, this is a Glue we're talking about. Instead, he can turn the tides. Dogman trying to go for the setup as well, but this huge wall of tanks right in front of the base, Evo Esports just cannot do anything about this at all.
If Biston can't get going as the Moskov, they don't have damage to kill the tanks. I mean, you have 3 magical damage dealers from Evo Esports, 1 Radiant Armor or Athena is going to solve that problem. Havos is completely comfortable in this game right now. As long as Biston is shut down like that, I mean, GameLab, they are looking to close it out 2-0.
Look at this, Aizawa setting up for a big ambush. If he goes for the right place as well. Flash 1, going for the Petroid, goes for out, but no! Misses the angle, a little bit too far off. He's gonna back off. However, Evo Esports, they should not extend this late Opera here. Taking a little bit too much arrow. Arrow doesn't seem to connect, so that's not going to be in the re-engagement coming from Evo Esports. As the Lord is going to be pushing from the top side. Evo now needs to figure a way on how to stabilize the GameLab. Going to push the lead as they try to take the tier 2 down middle. Opera needs to make a run for it as well, but the kick! All the way from the back, he still catches him as well. It was a distraction. Flash 1 did not expect that. Dogman from out of downtown pounds him out back to his base, and he's gone. And now with the stick coming in, tier 3 is being exposed as well. GameLab, they're overextending a little bit too much. However, they're getting away without being punished for these fights.
Yeah, the Lord has just arrived. All inhibitor turrets are going to go down simultaneously at this point. Xandri just could not find the Abyssal Arrow up again. He's using his health bar as a buffer, but that base infiltrated. I mean, GameLab for the past 2 minutes have kept Evo Esports in the base. That Kadita is godlike, and Evo still cannot get any sort of trade. Only 1 inhibitor turret left, and that one just a sliver of health. They go on to the Kadita Tagenaga, but he goes invulnerable. They cannot kill anyone. This is just an absolute brutal game. Finally, Dortmund falls, but the price is heavy. Habox, he has something else to say. Latches onto Opper, and now he is so far deep in, gives his life up, but Terrence, look at that base. It is in absolute shambles.
Yeah, that was a very, very difficult defense coming from Evo Esports. However, you know, they were able to punish Havos because of the combos coming from Glue, right? Like I told you about, if you go for the first skill, you latch on somebody, the moment you drop the first skill, you need to flicker out, because there's no way in time that Havos, you can actually, I would say, physically be able to pull it back if you had timed those flickers properly. And because of that, he's pretty much left stranded, allow Evo Esports to get a free kill on that. But as of yet, even if they got the free kill, let's take a look at the items real quick on how far Biston is behind. He's got a corrosion scythe, he's not even gotten his DHs yet, which is gonna be a long way. He's got the golden staff instead. So this is gonna be a very, very difficult one to actually bounce back, especially when he's so much like, okay, just got it, but I still think he needs at least a Malefic Roar.
Yeah, I mean, this game is fast-tracked by GameLab. Oh no, Piston.
No. He's not going to get his Malefic Roar anytime soon. Yeah, goodbye, my friend, goodbye.
The game is not going to last long enough for that to happen at this point. I mean, Oppa lashed on, pulled back, 3 members of GameLab on him, and this is another dead veteran. It is not working out this series for Evo Esports. They play so brave, only buying a bit of time. While that was happening, Lord has been taken. GameLab now has to defend the base, potentially 4v5.
Yep, at the same time, bottom lane as well, your name in a very, very awkward position. YukiTZ is going to get a couple kills. The arrow comes in. Zenry looking for the one shot, but the Dawning Light will be enough to snipe him down. However, Zenry, awkward position. He doesn't have the spells. He's pretty much stranded, and he's going to get picked off as well. As you can see, great stuns coming from Biston at the edge as well. He can potentially get the kill off this, and he needs to force a fight, but the Winter Trucker latches on him, but the Dawning Light, the true carry of the team, is gonna be Flash 1. He almost got the kill on Document, but he was able to prolong this fight, but at the same time, the Lord is knocking in. Expo is gonna try and drop bodies as well. Biston trying to clear off the minions, but that's a huge one as well. They're buying a little more time, but the Dawning Light will do significant amount of damage to scare off GameLab, and however, with this play, with this defense, the Xavier is finally online, and GameLab has to respect the power of the Xavier now.
Yeah, and Biston, huge cash out. Would have been better if he actually got the kills, but those kills went over to Flash 1. Nonetheless, they have that wave clear across the passive from this Moskov, also helping up a little bit. Another 2 long minutes for Evo Esports to just hold on. He can't even walk up out into the map. You can't even cross that threshold of that mid-river. That is the problem that they have to fix. You can't defend forever. And I just realized all tier 2 still stand for GameLab.
Yeah, this is literally go time for Evo Esports because the Xavier is one of the strongest late game mages in late game here as well. He's got his Divine Glaive. I was expecting him to go for a glowing one, but it seems like he just swapped it out for a potential immortality, which is weird. His final item was glowing one, would have done way much more damage, but as of yet, seems like survivability is going to be the key. However, GameLab, they're still progressing even further as well. They have to start to build magic resist, which unfortunately, none of them have enough Radiant Armors or even an Oracle to try to survive this. I was expecting maybe an Oracle pickup coming from Voss, but seems like he's going to try and go for Immortality as well because we are going to be hitting the 15-minute mark threshold soon. And that is where it's going to be go time because the next Lord is the most important one for Evo Esports. They need to find one pickoff before they can actually push out because if they voluntarily give up this Lord, it's over for them.
Malefic Roar for Biston. Very, very nice. Now that Moskov has finally come online, even with those items and Inspire, it is still going to take a monumental effort. Aizawa, 9-0-2 on this Kadita. Absolutely untouched in this game so far. The question is not when is the Lord spawning, is if Evo Esports can even contest this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one as well, but his final item from Biston is probably going to be the Haas Claw, but as you can see, GameLab is just choking them and starving them. They're waiting for the right moment to jump on them, and one wrong move can be the end of Evo Esports' journey in the upper brackets. Meanwhile, Malefic Roar purchase up on UTZ as well. Aizawa looking for the pickoff. He's trying to bait reactions and seems like he is going to be able to use his ultimate as well. Opera looking for the top, but Petrify will keep him alive. Evo Esports pretty happy about this. They bait out massive ultimates for Aizawa. One of the biggest threat from GameLab has been neutralized for this upcoming fight, and this is actually huge for Evo Esports.
But the Lord was taken by GameLab.
Unfortunate.
In a flash.
That was fast.
It was so fast. I mean, what, Melissa plus Alice...
Jungle Alice.
Jungle
I did not
Alice.
expect it at all. That was just so fast. It was just a bait. It was a distraction.
To be fair,
it was bad.
YukiTZ got his Malefic Roar right before that Lord. It was the perfect timing. But this is the final defense. Lord hasn't spawned just yet, but whoa, Takenaga already in. A lot of damage.
Arrow,
Watch out, that arrow! Downtown snipe from Zanri. 4 versus 5. Evo Esports, they have the numbers.
Yeah, this is huge for Evo Esports, but can they defend against the horde of minions coming in as they are throwing bodies for this as well? Here comes the kick. They focus on towards Opper, but he's got the immortality. Eventually, they take him down. The Melissa still stands, but eventually now the Lord is going to be focused down as well. Coming in from Biston, they wipe it before as well. YukiTZ is going to be the next to fall, and this is going to be the comeback that we have been eyeing for. Evo Esports now on the front seat. They're fighting back. Havas now running for his life, surviving, dodges with the arrow, but can he run away because the rest of the teams are coming here? But no, you cannot run away from the dawning light, and that's going to be Evo Esports going for the push. They get the kills, they get the fight, they've got vision control, and now GameLab is going to be on the backseat. Evo Esports looking to bounce back, and this might be it. This might be the greatest comeback so far.
I mean, you have to keep believing. Late game, Evo online. I mean, the Inspire Moskov. This guy is machine gun Biston right now. Takenaga, you cannot do those dives anymore. Dortmund also had to expand his flicker, his ult, his kick, and the immortality. Got absolutely nothing. He only traded, I believe, for an upper immortality and his death, but he lost almost but they lost the entire fight. Lord, 70 seconds. GameLab have learned that lesson the hard way. Good news is, inhibitor turret, they still stand. They can still keep Evo Esports in the base. But now they have to try and break through that defense. They gotta catch Biston.
Yeah, this is not good for either Biston or for GameLab right now. The biggest threat here is Flash One as well as Biston, and as of yet, they finally reached the ultra later stage game. And this is Evo Esports' response. If you make one wrong move once again, we will take you out. In this case, not going for the hard score is going to be Biston. He's got the winds of nature. UTZ finally purchasing the Athena shield, knowing how annoying Flash One is in all these team fights, and he needs to be able to find some way to sustain all this fight. So he sold off his shoes, going for Athena shield, no hard score available for UTZ. So that's gonna be a little bit of a problem later on as he tries to sustain this fight. But map control still in favor of GameLab, while Evo Esports is gonna try and punish Takenaga later on.
Yeah, you can see the position. GameLab just keeping Evo Esports away. Once more, Takenaga and UTZ are ready at the Lord pit. So this is another Lord for GameLab for sure. Evo Esports, they need to continue mounting this defense. Those respawn timers are going to get longer and longer. One more good defense and we will start to see inhibitor turrets fall. But before then, I mean, GameLab, they still have a pretty firm grip on this game.
Oh, this is going to be a difficult one indeed, but the Lord is coming in. Evo Esports, no response. They're splitting their forces down bottom and trying to snipe a couple of players. Unfortunately, they're forced to recall back. GameLab might look to try and threaten the bases as well. I can see that Dogman is just trying to clear off all the boosts, denying all the map control, or in this case, vision control from the Selena traps. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to find anyone on the outside so far. As Evo Esports now, oh my goodness, amount of damage. About Dawning Light, almost sniping Aizawa. However, he's got his passive abilities. He's going to be A-okay. He still has his Petrify. But with the Dawning Light now on cooldown, GameLab can make another attempt. And this time, Boss goes in first. He goes for a two-man stun, but he's taking a little bit too much damage. But they found Biston. They got the catch. And now Evo Esports, they are going to be on the backseat as well. GameLab looking for this opportunity to focus on the Crystal. They're mowing down. UTZ is there, but Dangwon still survives it all. But no, the damage coming from Evo Esports is a little bit too much. The Crystal getting thrown as well. GameLab, they're throwing bodies. And they will eventually take the Crystal. And they clean out 2-0.
Dortmund once more game-winning kick. I mean, he somehow found Biston in all of that chaos. Flickers in, finds Biston, instantly wins the game for his team. I do not know what to say. This is potentially, could have been the biggest, greatest comeback, but Dortmund has something else to say. And if he's not the MVP, I would be very, very, very sad.
Yeah.
2 game-winning kicks, by the way.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting one as well, considering how things are going in. But nevertheless, a great game coming from both sides. And GameLab taking 2-1. But in case you missed out in the action, this is going to be Game 2's winning moment coming from GameLab. You can see there was a lot of interesting skirmishes as well. Evo Esports, they know how annoying this dive composition coming from GameLab, but eventually they found a way to handle it, and that was pretty much Flash One's savior, keeping the game alive as long as they can. And you can see multiple instances as well, where every single time GameLab tries to make an attempt, Flash One is making sure that his Dawning Light hits as many people as possible, getting a lot of chain stuns, making sure his ultimate is always doing some sort of damage to push off all these minions. And it's just so very difficult to do so, but GameLab somehow choked them on every front, going for split pusher. The power of what Kadita brings to the table is just too annoying.
And we say it, right? Dortmund is the most important, well, the Biston is the most important one. And
yep.
Look at that Dortmund dive, just absolutely catching up Biston. Behind the Crystal, of all places, and of course GameLab able to close it out. It was very, very close, but without this Moskov, and his Inspire. There was just no damage from Evo to keep this game alive. Could have been a wonderful comeback, but GameLab just didn't want a game 3. So they will proceed into top 4, whereas for Evo Esports, the journey does not end here. They still have a lower bracket run, but it's going to be a longer journey for them.
Exactly, but the MVP coming from GameLab here, so far on the score, it's going to be Aizawa. It's got 10-1-2 on his Kadita. One of the biggest reasons why Evo Esports was put on the back seat all the way from the start to the middle stage of the game, because of how Aizawa was able to pick off important, crucial pickoffs on both Flash1 as well as Biston. Sorry, not Flash1. On Zanri, Biston, as well as Your Name multiple times, and I think Aizawa might probably deserve it, but the game-winning moment, like you said as well, it might be Dongman. It comes down to the producers, we don't exactly know.
Yeah, both game-winning moments were from Dongman, right? He's kind of like the hidden playmaker, very deserving on this show, a threat that I think a lot of other teams would really start looking out for. Maybe we will get to see those some of these show moments getting banned out in the draft. This is definitely setting up to be a very interesting precedent. But let's check out the MVP of the series. GameLab, just absolute dominance from Dortmund. Might not be the flashiest, might not do the most damage, but his kung fu skills are cut above.
Yep, I agree. And it seems like you are right as well. It is going to be Dongman on the Roman roll as well. He's got so many kicks as well, especially for Game 1. Game 2 in the final moments as well. He's got 7.5 KDA, Q plus 0, 57.8%, GPM 538.2, and a 978 DPM. Not exactly sure about the DPM, but as a job as a Roman roll, he's got the crucial cases, find the right targets. Yeah, well, he deserves the MVP for sure. Well done indeed coming from GameLab. I'm hoping to see them progress further because they are your first upper bracket finalists.
Yeah, upper bracket finalists. What a nice place to be in if you are GameLab. Top 4 secured at this point, and they get to rest for the rest of the night, knowing that they have basically crushed Evo Esports, one of the teams that look pretty darn good and with veteran experience. But with that being said, that concludes our very first series. We still have one more coming up, but all of this would not happen in reality without all of the people who made this happen, and one of them is none other than Samsung Galaxy. So thank you very much for being on this journey with us, and we really enjoyed your company. Check out the new Galaxy S23 Ultra. Guarantee you that is going to be one of the best things you would ever own.
Exactly. If you are a big fan of taking pictures and camera as well, be sure to check it out, because it's not just one lens, it's at least 3 lenses for you to actually test it out on every single aspect of your life and angle. So be sure to do that. But at the same time, I hope you guys are feeling a little bit more energetic, and if you're feeling a little bit down low, why don't you guys try out the brand new Monster Energy drink right here, right now, and unleash the biz that is hidden inside of you. And who knows, you might feel a little bit pumped up, build a couple of 6-packs here and there, and flex it out.
Or play Cho just like how Dortmund did.
Hey!
Probably had a lot of Monster Energy before that, because definitely a beast on the field. So check them out, www.monsterenergy.com/gaming. I mean, Monster Energy has also been with us since the beginning, so if you are not bleeding green, you are bleeding wrong.
Yep, well, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough indeed. But at the same time as well, if you want to get yourself a pretty sweet deal of diamonds as well, be sure to check out the shops itself. Kachi shop is available on the diamonds as well. But at the same time, if you guys want to watch more Mobile Legends Bang Bang, be sure to check out this upcoming match. It is going to be between Sway Esports and PBN Strike.
Yeah, PBN Strike. Another upper bracket series. A spot in the top 4. Loser goes down to that lower bracket gauntlet. Not much risk today, but after the bar getting set by GameLab, I have my expectations pretty high for the upcoming series. Before that though, we're going to take a short breather, and when we come back, another best of 3 for Mobile Legends Bang Bang will kick off. Don't go anywhere.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la la la. Bin immer happy auf Fotos, doch im Blitzlicht der Strobo. Frag ich mich schon, wo du jetzt bist und vermiss dich so. 1000 Augen auf mir und ich schein immer zu lächeln und glücklich zu sein. Doch ohne dich fühle ich mich zwischen tausenden Leuten allein. Nur mit dir kann ich sein, wie ich bin. Nur mit dir. Wir tanzen so, als ob keiner zusieht. Ganz egal wo, zusammen sind wir mutig. Und wir beide drehen so auf, als ob es nur uns zwei gibt. Und singen so laut diese Melodie. Lelele, lelele, lelele. Flieg mit mir auf dem Beat. Lelele, lelele, lelele. Als ob uns keiner sieht. Du bist mein Dodo, ohne dich bin ich solo. Zwischen Tokio und Soho denk ich an dich und die Sehnsucht ist so groß. Denn mit dir kann ich Luftschlösser bauen. Wir zwei sind immer ein bisschen zu laut. Ganz ohne Ziel, ganz ohne Plan. Mit dir durchzudrehen hab ich so sehr gebraucht. Nur mit dir kann ich sein, wie ich bin. Nur mit dir. Wir tanzen so, als ob keiner zusieht. Ganz egal wo, zusammen sind wir mutig. Und wir beide drehen so auf, als ob es nur uns zwei gibt. Und singen so laut diese Melodie. Lelele, lelele, lelele. Flieg mit dir auf dem Beat. Lelele, lelele, lelele. Immer wieder repeat. Lelele, lelele, lelele. Flieg mit mir auf dem Beat. Lelele, lelele, lelele. Als ob uns keiner sieht. Mit dir kann ich sein, wie ich bin. Nur mit dir. Lelele, lelele, lelele.
Hey, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series, brought to you and powered by Samsung Galaxy's Mobile Legends Tournament here. My name is ICBaby12. Joining me is going to be Husky as we take you through today's game so far in the upper bracket journey. And my oh my, we had a very convincing 2-0 earlier by GameLab, and now we're going to be seeing their opponents here as well. The other counterparts are going to be playing on the other side of this semi-finals, where things will get a little bit spicy as well, because we get a little bit of taste on some of the best from every single region. But in case you don't know what I'm talking about as well, we're going to pull out the brackets for you guys to see how things are going out throughout the entire tournament so far.
Yeah, and so far, obviously, we just witnessed GameLab giving EVO Esports an absolute beatdown in the upper bracket. So EVO Esports, they're not done just yet. They will be in that lower bracket. The second upper bracket coming up, Sway Esports against PBN Strike. It's going to happen. Meanwhile, for the lower bracket, whoever wins between Aero 404 and Tiger WONG Esports will take on EVO. And afterwards, whoever wins between ALVA, 8 and Miracle Gaming will fight against the losers of Sway Esports versus PBN Strike. So there's a lot on the line. There's going to be a lot of progression. But if you are GameLab, now you get to sit back and kind of check out your upcoming opponents and how they approach this game.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting one indeed. But what I do want to imply on as well is that I kind of want to see how EVO Esports climbs from bottom lane, right? Like, we got a little bit of taste on yesterday's game from EVO Esports going up against Miracle Gaming. It was a 2-1. I feel like Miracle Gaming is still climbing on the bottom side, and things might be a little bit spicy, considering that, you know, I like how producers also zooming in that match. Because like, if Miracle Gaming wins ALVA 8, you know, and then they win again, you know, they might meet EVO Esports in potentially,
in case you don't get the
lower
memo.
bracket finals, you know?
Yeah. In case you don't get the memo, that's it. That is.
Thank you, producer. Thank you, production. You know, one of the most, like, I would say spontaneous producers.
Yeah, honestly they are. Oh, just wonderful stuff. You know, we have a drive, we have a Johnson camp yesterday.
Oh yeah.
They gave us a taste of how it's like to be driving the Johnson truck also. So
I'm terrified.
Just,
Next time, don't let me drive, bro.
I was the one driving. What? We?
Okay, you were the one driving.
Yeah, yeah. You got me.
Yeah, you're right.
So you were terrified of my driving. Don't
Yeah,
worry, don't
terrified.
worry. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can
like,
drive.
I'm
next time.
so terrified to the point that I don't remember what I need to say, man.
It's fine. Next time you can drive. Next time I'll call shotgun. I have faith in your driving skills.
You know, that's the thing, right? You gotta learn how to drive manual, bro.
I mean, I saw you drift yesterday in the parking lot. That was fantastic. But
Peace out, brother.
we gotta check out our upcoming teams for this second series. First of all, Sway Esport. And of course, we're gonna start with Haro Sky, Kevs, Barbechi, Kenny Su, and Gio from this roster. Very, very, again, another roster that is from kind of an environment that we don't know too much about, at least for now, but it's time for them to make themselves known.
Well, this is going to be our first time seeing them up on screen, so we go try to see what kind of ideas the Sway Esports have been playing as well. We did see their journey all the way here from the upper brackets, but this is going to be their limelight moment to actually show their sights here. However, their opponents, I want to see how their opponents are going to be like. Who are they? Is it going to be the guys from PBN?
Yeah, PBN Strike. PBN Strike is going to be another kind of an unknown factor coming into this one. We are going in with a clean slate, you know, where we have our blindfolds on, but it's great. We get to see more unique approaches from some of these teams. We've already witnessed very interesting approach, right? In the Alice Jungle, we saw the Faramis, we saw like Edith, but here it is, PBN Strike coming into this series. Nanami, Raizo, Anzai, Yojinchenko, Bloods, Anzai, and of course, Leonie.
Wow, they've got all their jerseys all lined up. Nowadays, you know, it's interesting to see how we've reached the stage where you go to esports tournaments, whatever, you will have your own custom jerseys made, and that's crazy. How much commitment we have done so far. And if you think about it, how far have we traveled?
It looks pretty dope. How far we have come a long way. I remember back in the days when I was playing basketball, we don't have a jersey. We wore singlets. We wore color matching singlets.
No, I probably wore the school uniforms sports shirt.
Oh, we actually don't have that.
No way.
Not for basketball. We have those for sports house, but we don't have like for individual sports.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But nevertheless, that is pretty much your rosters coming from both sides. I want to see how they go down as well. But when it comes to a team all the way from Indonesia, PBN Strike representing from Indonesia, even though we haven't seen them too much. I personally haven't seen too much of this guys. You guys probably at home who are fans, supporters who know a little bit more. This might be our first time seeing them. Why don't you guys let us know your opinions up on the Twitch chat and let predicts for us who is going to be the ones that actually come up on top in the game. Is it going to be PBN Strike or is it going to be the other one? In this case, it's going to be a very difficult one. So either or, I want to see what you guys think about it. Let us know in the comments. Who knows? We might be reading out some of the comments in the near future.
Yep. And also we have our prediction, and I am very, very proud to announce that my friend right here has gotten all of his predictions right. And that also means I've gotten all of my predictions wrong. And let's see if we can make it a 4-0 for both of us. Of course, this time I'm going for Sway 2-1. And as always, we are never on the same page.
Of course. Indo Pride, bro. This game is Indo Pride, bro. Two strongest regions,
have seen,
Indonesia, Philippines, bro.
I mean, we witnessed Laos beat Philippines yesterday.
Well, I
beat
believed in Xandri at that time.
Sure.
After yesterday, you know, I had to switch my votes, bro. Bro.
It's fine, it's fine.
Bro.
Feels good to be on the winning side.
Exactly.
You know, it feels even sweeter when you finally win. No. It's not about you losing. It's about me winning.
Okay.
At the end of the day. But of course, regardless, I'm just very pumped for more Mobile Legends action, and especially when we are looking at two teams that, you know, haven't shown too much light, at least in the public eye. But at the same time, like you mentioned, right, PBN Strike, one of the teams from Indonesia, more coveted regions on the global stage. Once more finishing 3rd and 4th in the recent M Series. It's a region that has way too much talent.
Oh, fair enough. I want to see what kind of strategies they are going to be bringing to the table. That is like so much we can actually talk about when it comes to their decision makings and their play styles, their culture, their environments as well. We know for a fact Indonesia has got one of the wildest fans across the world and most of the talented players in the world as well. However, when it comes to this match, we can sing their praises, we can talk about everyone. When it gets down and dirty in the match, everything is all fair and even Stevens, because that is where you demonstrate whether or not are you truly the best.
I'm pretty sure you have your fair share of experience being in the middle of an Indonesian crowd, right? It's one of the craziest crowd in the world. I had the honor to be in the thick of things and witness that. and I can just say that it's a concert of its own. It's just all you hear are just musical instruments, team chants, theme songs, banners flying around. It's great. It's great.
Musical instruments,
Honestly, they bring.
Don't you
drums.
know what that's a drum, bro?
Yeah, musical instruments, because it's just not it's not just drums. I believe there's drums. There's I don't know what else.
I don't think they use a trumpet. I know it's just like a
Definitely not a
like
trumpet.
line drum kind of thing. It's like we don't really see that very often. We see that in the movies now. It's like a line drum kind of thing.
They bring megaphones into a stadium. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, they kind of did the walk thing, right? That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I've
they
never
did. They did.
seen
It
that.
was when I first saw the army of fans.
From Onyx as well as RQ, right?
Yeah, honestly, I thought I was at the wrong place because they look very intimidating.
Obviously, you're in the wrong place, bro. You're Malaysian.
Hey, I was there for good games. I supported the Indonesian team all the
Okay.
way until they lost.
Fair enough. Why'd you vote against them now?
Because I wanted something different. I don't follow the win. You see, I'm an adventurous guy. You know, I'm not like you. I don't go for teams that have good chances of winning. I go for teams that the odds are against them, so that it feels.
You know,
sweeter.
it builds a really nice underdog story, I guess.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, for those guys who are in the Mobile Legends community, you know, you guys know there's this one dude, we call him Lafel. You know, whenever he votes here, make sure you vote against him, because most of the time he has that caster's curse thing and people hate him for voting him. I hope you guys don't hate him, because so far he's voted 3 times, he's failed 3 times.
I just want to say it's
know,
it's consistency, and at the same time, I don't think there's anything bad about getting the wrong team.
I hope you guys don't hate him for it, you know.
It's fine. Someone has to.
Please do not follow his Instagram.
Yes,
you know,
do
go
not.
to HUSSKKIE.
Do not do that. Yeah.
Post a couple of toxic comments.
Yeah,
you know, why you support this team, why you don't love my team.
Absolutely.
You know, even if you don't want to, just do it for the sake of fun.
Yeah.
And see what kind of reaction it's gonna give.
Just don't mass report my social media. Right? The last thing I want is it getting.
Okay, you can do any of that. Just don't mass report. You're gonna be toxic. Don't be toxic. Stay toxic. Whatever. Go ahead. As long as you say something, we're happy. You know, we will be glad to talk to you guys and let us know what kind of opinions you guys want to see.
I'm gonna set up a live stream after this. We will have a great chat about what has transpired so far. But just in time, as we wrap up this chapter of me getting absolutely flogged for predicting the wrong team, I want to see what these teams have in mind for the draft coming up for Game 1.
Yeah, we are going to be jumping straight into the draft right now between both Sway Esports as well as PBN Strike. And that is going to be something to be talked about. But before that, you know, for a moment's notice, I think I want to talk about how important it is to be saving money. Yes, it's very, very important for you guys to know that regardless of whatever you're working on as well, when you watch here and you watch me, we're not just here to entertain you guys and watching Mobile Legends. We also want to take care of your well-being at home. Be sure to save money, especially starting from today, to all of you guys from all around the world. Save maybe $100 a week, $100 a month. The reason being for it is that you'll probably need it 9 months later. If you do not understand why, don't worry. Daddy IC here is gonna tell you to do that right now. Just shut up. Don't need to think about it. Just do it. Save $100 at least for 9 months. You'll probably need it. Even if you don't need it, and by 9 months, you don't need to use that money, continue saving until the next 9 months, the next 9 months, and the next 9 months. And by the 4th or 5th year, you don't need to worry about the 9 months rule. And when the actual Valentine's come in, you have the most magical time of your life.
This is a very elaborate way of saying that just have the habit of saving. And honestly, you're dressed. It sounds like you're pitching a scheme.
Exactly.
He's dressed like a con artist, but
no.
He's dressed okay.
You know what?
Let me rephrase it.
You want me to be a con artist? Very simple.
Let me rephrase it.
Use rubber, bro.
Let me rephrase it. He dresses like the kind of guy that you know from school, right? Regardless, college, high school, primary school. Lost contact after graduation, calls you out one day, asks you out for a cup of tea, and decides to sell you a product.
You're talking about MLM, aren't you?
No, I'm not talking MLM.
Do I look like I'm an MLM dude? I look like more an insurance agent for you, bro.
You have to understand, people who dress like this. Here's the crazy thing that I probably noticed. I think in recent times.
Okay.
Back then, back then when you dress like really nice, it means that you have a certain level of trustworthiness, right? You know, certain level of professionalism. But right now, people who see like people who dress nice suddenly come out. There's a bit of animosity because there's so much. So I've experienced where my close friend, well, my friends that I do know, dresses really nice, ask me out for a cup of tea, and I ended up at a course that I don't want to be in. Although it's all paid for, but I'm just saying that it's a waste of time. We're getting sidetracked here. But yes, save money. I didn't expect to sign up for a financial course, but yeah, keep going.
You know,
I'm listening.
you guys watching at home, right? Do you believe me more or do you believe him more? Because whatever I just said, did it make more sense or did his point make more sense? Let us know down in the comments. I hope production sees some of the comments, we post it up, and we have a debate right here, right now. Or maybe even just text us on Instagram and agree to disagree with whatever we just said. But what I want to know right now is that what did you guys spend your evenings at home? Because that's something that I think I have a guilty as charged. Both of us, we spent our evening last night here delivering you guys all sorts of pleasure and joy and excitement into these games. And while we try and make sure that this game is going to be starting off, which is very, very soon, what are we going to be expecting this draft? For me, I want to see a Martyrs game. Meta-ish, blah. Don't know why people ignore it. What about you?
I think Martin's game, yeah, okay, right. If you go in Martin's game, I just want to see heroes like carry just go through a bit more often. I think that priority is there. And also, I want to see just more variety in terms of draft. We saw in the first series how GameLab approached drafting against Evo and how they were completely shutting down shutting down Zanri in both games. But at the same time, teams are showing their own flavor. Cho getting picked, Alice sent into the jungle. We finally see the very first Kadita. So if that is the level for the first 2 days of our live broadcast, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see so much more of variety. But yes, I want to see more carry.
Yep, carry indeed. But at the same time, let's talk a little bit more on how things can happen. Because now, up on the screen here, these are your qualified teams from the Open Qualifiers. The top 1 team so far for MYSG region. We have TUPAI Esports, and all the way from Indonesia with Egoist is pretty much qualified into the
Singapore, my friend.
Oh yeah, Singapore, my bad.
Singapore.
Oh, sorry,
it's
my
neighbor.
bad. I'm correct. I didn't see it. My eyes are a little bit broken.
I know we sing a lot of praises for the Indo region, but don't worry, Singapore
it's
also
MYSG, sorry.
It is. So these are the first 2 teams. Of course, for you guys who might have missed out on our format, we do have 8 regional qualifiers, and all of the regional qualifier champion goes to the challenge stage. So for MISG, it was those 2 teams. From the Philippines with Euphoria Esports, Beer Factory.
Nice. Best decision ever. You know, I swear, you know, it's the best euphoric experience, man. You gotta have a little bit of flavor in your your social nights.
Honestly,
I hope you didn't have a little bit too much yesterday. But yeah, I
spent a pretty decent amount of time, you know, going through a lot of games yesterday. I think it was a great experience. But we gotta look at the Indonesian region as well. And from this, as just like every other region, 2 teams made it through. A8 Esports and GPX will be representing the ID region from the Open Qualifiers.
Yeah, for all the way from Indonesia, these are the teams that has pretty much made it as well. We haven't exactly seen some of these teams play on screen yet, but we will get a little bit of taste later on. So be sure to tune in to the stream, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, share on your Facebook pages, etc. We will see you guys we will see these teams play next week as well. And this is gonna be an interesting one because if we are looking at the top 2 and 3 teams playing right now, I can't imagine how the top 1 team is. And speaking of the top 1 team, I see a familiar name. See you soon.
Yep.
The one that made it all the way to M4.
Absolutely. Okay. Both teams, obviously from Cambodia, the Drift and See You Soon. These teams qualify from the regional qualifiers, arguably the more stacked one, right? You have 4 regions in one, you know, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, but both qualifiers were won by Cambodian teams. And again, See You Soon, just one of the bigger names out there.
I want to correct myself. It wasn't See You Soon that made it. It was Burn X-Splash. It was See You Soon that made it to MSC. Correct. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to as well. They were also their respective MPL winners in Cambodia for season number 2, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Still one of the bigger names, right?
Still one of the bigger names as well. One of the, I would say, during last year as well, they will play Smart Kingdom, which is something that is very, very huge in Cambodia as well as casting as well. They were one of the, I would say, famed teams that brought in Cho, even though Cho wasn't meta for the longest of season, the previous seasons. Back then, Cho was one of the most favorite tanks here and there, but they were one of the very few teams that still brought in Cho, made it work, and still delivered it. So they were one of the core assets around Cambodia to develop most of the team's identity when it comes to drafting and strategies. Similar to how IMPUNITY KH was Johnson Candida, etc. So I'm looking forward to see how it goes. But as of yet, finally, we have drafts up on screen here. It's going to be PBN Strike on the blue side and Sway Esports on the red side this time.
Very, very excited to see how these drafts is going to pan out. Are we still going kind of down the rabbit hole of unorthodox focus, or are we going back to the meta ban? So far, Fanny has had a lot more presence on that ban list since yesterday.
Yeah, Fanny is definitely a must ban, right? It's definitely S tier all the way reason. But Martis ban, please, somebody pick it. No, I don't know. Now, seeing how the draft is as well, I think Xavier is something that we may not consider as first phase ban, but it's something to be respected as well. Fredrin definitely going to be taken out from PBN Strike. Glue is something that I think they should seriously consider, considering how I think in the game previously as well, we saw how they brought in the Cho as well as Glue, two very, very annoying displacement heroes, which you can just, very similar to a Franco hook, which is very detrimental as well. Kaja Divine Judgment is also a great way to deal with it. I think that's one of the ideas that you want to play around. You want to go for those guys, pick off potential, force them out of position, and just completely shut them down. And in this case, Hayabusa being banned from the PBN Strike. I'm not particularly a big fan of Hayabusa bans, but in the right hands, it's one of the craziest heroes to play. It's one of the top tier, highest mechanically skilled, required hero to play.
Yeah, and it's just very, very, just those high skill ceilings, but when played right, it is just like a ninja. You can catch him. And so Esports, again, Kaja ban and Valentina. It's good to see Kaja being shown a lot more love in that ban phase. You know, the value has really been shown. I think she was picked twice yesterday, and both games that Kaja were playing resulted in a win. It just has one of those game-winning ultimates. You know, kind of like your Cho, your Franco, but in this case, I think PBN Strike now having that first pick. A lot of heroes on the available. You know, Glue, Carry, Joy. That's gonna get picked up.
Yep, Joy going to be first pick coming from PBN Strike. Sway Esports still considering whether or not they want to go for that Glue as well as the Carry pickup. Personally, I like both of them. Just brings so much value. Carry early game engagement is one of the, I would say in this current patch, the fastest power spike out of all the carries now. But Sway Esports, they stick with the Kadita instead, so that's going to be the first pick. Kadita. Johnson still available if they decide to go for it, but Sway Esports, they may consider ignoring the Johnson and just straight up go for the Kufra here, just to make sure that Joy doesn't have the greatest of time. But it seems like Sway Esports will double down on Esmeralda to take advantage of the shields being brought up by Joy.
Yeah, it's that's an example that we saw in the previous series. Evo against GameLab, it's Esmeralda into Joy. We saw the interaction. It was in that mid game, obviously Esmeralda would have a slightly better time, but it also was because the Joy decided to go full magic, right? Now we see that Ruby getting picked up. First pick for Ruby in the broadcast so far. Haven't seen it. Where does this Ruby stand?
Okay. I talked about how I would say pickoff is very, very important, right? I talked about how Franco, you know, heroes like Franco, heroes like Kaja is great in going for engagements. Ruby acts very, very similarly. But at the same time, I think the idea of having this Ruby is just to make sure that this Esmeralda doesn't get super out of control. Like every time it gets displaced, it is going to kind of stop Esmeralda in tracks where he's just not going to be able to time his spells properly against right targets, right? So it's going to keep the Esmeralda from diving the backlines. In this case, it is going to buy enough time for Joy to actually cut the backline. So I get that is where is the idea coming in from PBN Strike. Going for the Brody is a safety precaution as well. It can work against any kind of dive compositions. Against a Kadita, not necessarily, but it does buy you a little bit more time for him to actually survive this. So I kind of like it, but Sway Esports not going to go for the carry, going for the Melissa instead. Not a big fan, but still, it does stop the joy from getting right on your face.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, carry has completely been ignored thus far, right? Not really banned out, not really picked. Akai and Lunox, the next two to be taken out by both teams. And obviously for Sway Esports, they're looking at a mage, right? It's the Eve. Maybe it's going to be the next choice that they want to ban out. If not the Eve, maybe the Farsa. But I feel like if you are Sway Esports, you are just going to make sure that PBN Strike doesn't get a mage that can go into late game. Honestly, Savior is not a bad ban.
I think Lilia isn't too bad. Like, considering that if you compare Eve compared to the rest, right? These are heroes that can be one-shotted by Kadita. But whereas if you go for heroes such as Lunox, where every single time he comes in, you just go for the Brilliance, you just completely whiff the entire Petrify. But Sway Esports, they double down on the Foramis instead. Not a big fan, but Archive being banned from PBN Strike, expecting potential jungle Archive that can mess up the Joy here. They should be double downing on banning on Kufra in case Sway Esports decide to pick it up. Not sure they are or will they not, but as of yet, I think that's a safety net coming in from PBN Strike, considering that if they do not know each other's playstyle.
The draft's still pretty much open for Sway Esports, right? Like, there are so many options to go for, but I do agree. I second the thought that maybe the Kufra is a good consideration for PBN Strike to take out. And it's going to be the Esther, so both teams kind of making sure that you don't get that fight sustained. No Sway with Farm is banned, PBN Strike with the Esters. This is where the playing field becomes absolutely open. So Esports have so many choices to go for.
Estes pickup. Oh, this is okay. This is an awkward situation.
Is this a Kadita role?
Like, I think, yeah, this is definitely a Kadita role coming from Sway Esports. I can see this happening as well. We've seen double mage compositions across the regions. Not many teams play it. I think previous season, Orange Esports kind of played a lot of double mage compositions, but currently in this season, I feel like it's still viable. It's not that great. I get that Xavier was kind of forced because, well, the circle encampment kind of stops Joy from doing the things it's required, right? It's just right there in the middle. Every time you pass by, you are going to get stunned. So in this case, it kind of limits the mobility of Joy to a certain degree to cut the back line. So I get that Sway Esports wants to double down on it, but they really need a strong front line. In this case, they're most likely going to be leading on a tank jungler. Barats isn't too bad, not a big fan of it. Baxia isn't too bad, not a big fan of it as well. Kufra jungle, we haven't seen that too much, but in the right circumstances, it's great. But in this case, I don't think it's the most ideal one, especially when you're going up against a Roger jungler coming from PBN Strike.
Yeah, I'm just surprised, right? Roger and Ruby, two heroes that first time they got picked, haven't seen it before. That Martis comes out. Your favorite, we have the Martis jungle. I believe yesterday it was also a Martis jungle that we saw in that second series, but right now it's going to be the second time we see that Martis. Is the function still the same though against the combo PBN Strike?
Yeah, I think, okay, see, that's the thing, right? They need two frontliners, right? They went for a double mage composition, means that they need a stronger, tankier jungler as well as an XP laner, which right now, based on the conditions, Sway Esports has that. So that means they are going to be playing a lot of mid-control tempo, playing around where Kadita and Xavier is going to be going for the one-shot. Whoever Kadita catches, Xavier pops up a secondary stun. It's going to buy enough time for a potential decimation, which is a very nice idea. But for PBN Strike's vicinity, they're going to be looking for a pick-off compositions where they need to rely on Ruby's I'm Offender to set up, or maybe hope that the Roger gets a lot of jumps and leaps forward to actually get a lot of kills here. So two very different approaches in the playstyle, but I definitely like PBN's one a little bit more. But at the same, I like Sway Esports one a little bit more, even though I'm voting on PBN.
Let's see how game one is going to turn out. Again, second upper bracket series of the night. PBN Strike Indonesia. Yes, Sway Esports from the Philippines. We are, at least, I guess this Martis pick also accomplishes something where you really stop this Joy from moving around too much in these fights. Immunity to crowd control also helps out when you want to get close to something like a Farsa. Aroskai trying to get away. Nanami is going to be on his tail. Just making sure this Esmeralda doesn't cause too much problems for this Roger. Very important for him to get both that orange and purple buff, get going, and we'll start building up those, start that snowball. They're doing a good job. They kept Haroski out of the jungle.
Yeah, it seems like things are going to be turning for south here for now. A little bit of aggression coming from Sway Esports, a pretty early flicker coming from Haroski. But at the same time, PBN Strike, they are going to be looking to play a little bit safe, considering that they need to buy time against Sway Esports with the fact that Nanami needs to come online a little bit more. But as soon as I say it, they get a really nice engagement. They might actually finish off the Kadita. However, the passive does keep them alive, so they are going to lose first blood. And now Sway Esports is going to try and return the favor. They lose Yu Jang, and it's going to be the Farsa down for this first turtle fight.
Yeah, and just very good response from Sway Esports, getting that first blood. Kind of going over to Cavs, that is the Mortis, so even better as this turtle spawns right now. Obviously, you want to be in that lead as the Mortis. It's just kind of a bonus. Razor is going to show up in that top lane. Blurs Anzai actually getting out, but Lovescar, he's going on his 1v2 journey. He doesn't care. Now Ryzer is going to jump onto him. Lovescar's trying to duke it out, at least get a trade back, but not able to find the Bloods. Playing with life on the edge. Actually gets out. Turtle goes over to Sway.
Not exactly sure where the confidence is coming from Luscars, but he did a lot of damage against PBN Strike. Forcing this top rotation means that Sway Esports will be able to secure the turtle down bottom just now. So a little bit of distraction what if could have in this situation, but we do see a little bit of snipes coming in from Sway Esports, sending the Martis down towards the orange buff. And this is why Martis is so strong early game. You can go for this invades and get a completely unpunished or get out of the safety. So this is something that PBN Strike, they're definitely getting caught off guard in terms of jungle rotation. However, they lose Blood and Zali on the top side as well, and now Sway Esports is going to return the favor. They finally lose the roaming Kadita, but PBN Strike now, they need to find a way to equalize right now because their cores are not doing so well on the sidelines.
Off screen just now, Blurs Anzai actually got sniped, I believe, by the Xavier. Across the map, I think he didn't recall after that engagement and just got absolutely killed off. Leone is going to at least help out this Roger to invade the jungle just a little bit. Making sure that Sway Esports doesn't get control, but just look at the bottom lane. Haroski, he is cutting that wave in between the inhibitor and tier 2.
This is tough. This is really, really tough indeed. But at the same time, here comes the catch. And they do get the one as well. Sway Esports completely annihilate Yuji Ching again. And now Joy coming in with the ultimate as well, as Haruski is going to be training him 50-50. This feels like a wet noodle fight between the XP laners. But in this case, Nanami does have the vengeance available. Kev's going to be looking for the steal, and I don't think he got it, so it feels bad. But this Martis going to be very disruptive very, very soon.
Pretty even state so far. Bottom lane, Haroski is just not letting up on this pressure. Now Cavs is here. Nanami doesn't have much help to work with. Cavs just need to get in range for that decimation, but he's going to farm a bit of that turret shield first. Nanami able to outmaneuver both of them. But off screen again, another execution, break even with that kill onto Yoji Chanko. That's the third death for this Farsa, and Nanami just did stagger in terms of that recall. Haroshi, he is just being absolutely relentless. Nanami, just don't be greedy, just back up a bit more for it. Finally decides to take the safe route.
No, he harassed him!
And
No,
gets
he
the
got
kill.
the kill! No way! Haroski! What a man, what a chance. So much space created. Feels bad for Nanami because Sway Esports now is just completely dominating on all fronts. Meanwhile, PBN Strike, however, is forcing the issue with this turtle fight, and it seems like it's not going to work out. But now with the dotting line coming in, Leone needs to back off. Kadita goes for the Ocean Breath, but they eventually pick up Lini with the Esmeralda help. Haroski finishes them all, but he doesn't have the mana or the health to sustain through his life, as PBN will continue to go for a couple of pickoffs here. The Martis plays coming from Cams. He gets the snipe before he gets out, and now he's going to completely bail out of the fight, and that is why you pick up Martis jungle, ladies and gentlemen. That is why.
Yeah, and at the same time, unfortunately for Rizzo, he's just so deep. Gets pushed away by Cavs. 7-3 so far, but only a 2,000 gold deficit. All things considered, not exactly the worst for PB and Strike. He kind of looks to neutralize the game state.
This is interesting coming from Kivs, considering that, hold that thought for now. Here comes the IMO Fender on the top side. Love Scar is going to get completely torn apart. As PBN Strike, they will get a little bit of frags here. It's just blast after blast, fights after fights across the mind. But now Cavs will continue with more. Leone going to be caress his way through. He's got the decimation. He gets the pick off. And that's going to be Sway Esports bouncing back with the jungler, driving the momentum for the team.
Absolutely just 3-0, super dominant so far. And there's a secondary problem for PBN Strike. Haroski is starting to get out of control on this Esmeralda. Completely uncontested in that bottom lane. Nanami doesn't want to deal with him, but you don't want to put the Roger there as well. It's taking away so much agency from PBN Strike. And look at this gang squad up top. Oh, Leone, he's not going to make it there in time. Nanami and Blazanzai, they will get the top tier 1, but they might lose both their lives. Cavs is going to go in for the engage. They want to get a trade on to break even. This Kadita able to buy a bit of time. The Vengeance Juice execution from the Decimation comes out from Cavs. Nanami also goes down to Love Scars. It's 2 free kills for Sway Esports.
Yeah, but at the same time as well, down on the top side, Cavs is going to try and going for a little bit more momentum. Meanwhile, he is going to try and dive this more. There's nothing much PBN Strike can do at this stage until they hit those timings. But at the same time, bottom side Turtle is going to be up for open. Sway Esports already making their way and efforts down bottom. So they've got to make quick work with this. The Roger is starting to hit hard, but the Turtle placement is just completely disrupt with this aggression here. Esmeralda, Haraski looking for the push as well. They can't seem to fight the pickup, but PBN is still barely holding on as a Haraski just zoning PBN out of the base, and this is going to be a free turtle for Cavs to secure. Better Ezra has been expended as well, but they're just a little bit too low to commit to this fight.
And this turtle easily secured by Sway Esports, and while that was happening, the fight continues in that middle lane. Haroski, he is still full health, and here comes Cavs. Watch out for the reset. They lose break even, but Cavs is unstoppable. That dotting line pierces 3 members of PBN Strike. Cavs and Haroski now starting to get forced back. A Xavier crowd control right there in the stun. Cavs looking for the third. They're going to try and re-engage onto the smartest, but Cavs out of the picture. It's an even trade down mid.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe that what actually happened. So Esports, they completely played this game in a favor where they synced all their spells and timed perfectly to get them skills. But interesting enough, the Martyrs coming from Cavs, actually first item Blade of Despair instead of the Malefic Roar or Fury Hammer, etc. And then now shifting towards a tank composition. So it's interesting for him to actually see this kind of itemizations, considering that Malefic Roar is a little bit stronger, but I guess he really wants to increase the threshold of the Decimation to suit his needs instead of what we're known for, those Malefic Roar builds. So I guess it's an interesting approach, and he's actually working out in his favor.
Yeah. And it's so much easier to pull off when the members of PBN Strike aren't exactly the beefiest. When you get the execution going, it just makes you such a bigger threat, and it's not the hardest for him to access the backline, right? Both Blazanzai and Yojichenko, they don't really have a way to stop this Martyrs, especially with that crowd control immunity. Life is going to be a bit hard. Leone, able to dash away.
Yep. As soon as they do find break even, finding a very nice pickoff. They get the marksman, but at the same time, this is a roaming Kadita. Even if he's pays with his life, it doesn't really matter, because as of yet, Sway Esports is dumpstering the middle turret. The Dawning Light comes in. PBN Strike, what can they do? The Roger coming in. He's got to find a little bit more of a snowball approach, but it's going to be tough. Antikira's purchase of an Harsky means that Lini, Razel, as well as Bloods is not going to have a good time fighting at all.
Lord has now spawned. So far, it is Sway Esports in the driver's seat. Almost a 4k goal advantage. Jungle being invaded by Haroski. Cavs has already started up on that Lord Temp with 3 of his teammates backing him up. PBN Strike, Leone sees this happening. I don't feel like they're going to do anything though. The Roger is too far away, and Haroski, he is just doing zoning duty, Dawning Light just for safety measures. Easy Lord going over to Sway Esports.
Yeah, absolutely nothing can be done as well. Glowing one purchase, albeit on the roaming Kadita, just to have that a little bit of edge of passing abilities to chip through away at the defense coming from PBN Strike. But I don't think they can do much. It all comes down to whether or not Nanami is going to be able to stall time for the team. He's got the first item glowing one, means that he's not as tanky as we expect him to be. So this is going to be a long drawn out fight for PBN Strike if they want to make a comeback to this, which obviously is going to take at least 4 to 5 minutes time. And when that happens, they need to try and keep up to the economy. In this case, Sway Esports with the 3k economy is going to be extremely difficult to do so. With now break even, setting up ambush, they cannot afford to make mistakes right here, right now.
Yeah, completely cutting off that bottom side of the map for PBN Strike. Cavs, isolated. Leone so far is got knocked out. We're nearing that threshold. Leone is going to get executed. Actually not getting the reset. Love Scar is the one who picked it up, but still a man advantage over Sway Esports. Morse just destroyed, demolished the top tier 2, Sway Esports setting up the waves to crash on the dead inhibitor.
Yeah, this is very, very difficult indeed. But at the same time, PBN Strike on the top side, they're focusing on the Lord, but the Lord down to 20%. I don't think Sway Esports matters about this. They are going to get an inhibitor regardless of what happened, but it's just whether or not which direction. But in this case, it's not happening because PBN, they somehow managed to clear off the minion waves, and Sway Esports, they just back out. This is actually favoring PBN a little bit more.
Yeah, not the best case scenario, right? The waves were not synced. They had the feather airstrike, so it was easy to burst down that burst down the Lord. They caught Nanami. Vengeance used. Damage reduction is there. Leone just buying time with his body. Sway Esports not getting a kill. Good news for PBN.
Oh, so annoying to actually push out the lane. Like, logically, PBN Strike, they have the frontliners to stand in front, but when your frontliner from the side of Sway Esports gets one-shotted by a Kadita, that's something that they have to worry about. So it's going to be extremely hard for them to open the map unless they get a little more items. And Sway Esports, slowly but surely, they are going to lose their threshold, especially in terms of damage, because of the fact that their main late-game damage output is going to come in from Barbie Chi, whereas Break Even can easily be countered with the Athena Shield / Radiant Armor. And in this case, PBN Strike might be looking for that opportunity as they are building up some items as well. We do see Athena Shield being purchased by Leone as well. Needs possibly a Radiant Armor a little bit more before they can actually progress. But slowly but surely, PBN Strike, they are getting some sort of damage coming in from both the marksmen's core of PBN Strike. But for how long can they hold on?
Maybe just long enough for the next Lord to spawn. 20 seconds. Sway Esports once more setting up. Oh, this Martyrs has been phenomenal so far. They call Leone again. Flicker, use, Love Skull.
No way.
Dashes forward, doesn't find it, but they might lose the Roger plus Anza. You gotta get out. Actually, the Brody is the one in danger. Nanami now helping out. Haroski too far forward. Rezo comes right through, looking for a trade. Doesn't get it.
No.
Haroski walks away.
No, he could have went for it, but he did not want the risk. He knew for a fact that PBN Strike's win condition is to buy time. Unfortunately to say, Sway Esports, because they walked away with that scot-free, they are going to get the Lord completely free as well. They even popped the Dawning Light to scare him off. PBN Strike now in the backseat once again. Oh, feels bad for PBN Strike, but they tried their best because right now it's all about buying time, while Sway Esports is all about stepping up with their pressure.
Yeah, playing it really, really safe. I mean, all the couple of members from PBN Strike were literally in the red. Had to blow the flickers, so they won't have that for the next potential fight for this defense. So they are looking to lose at least one inhibitor turret. The waves finally synced up by Sway Esports. It's going to crash on all three angles. This is going to be a tough defense. The Lord will take priority. Leone, he's doing his best. Mid wave cleared out. Bottom wave needs attention, and with the Lord charge, that inhibitor is most likely going to go down. The Nami is going to walk on forward, instantly forced to retreat. As Barbie also keeping Leone in place. Sway Esports getting so much lead. The Dawning Light also used as well. 2 inhibitor turrets secured.
Yeah, Nanami having a very difficult time to counter back lines because of the go away coming from the Melissa. But as of yet, they're still sinking the minions as much as they can. But literally, no, from behind, look at this. Bracky, man, he's looking for the pickoff. He's going to go for it as well. The Petrify comes in. The ultimate barely takes him down, but he's going to die to this. There's no damage. And finally, PBN Strike, they bounced back. They found the timings. They got the kills. They got 4 men because of this defense. And Sway Esports, they lose their powers by, and this is the comeback that we're looking for as well. PBN Strike with double marksmen. They got the timings. They can tank the initial burst of the Kadita, and now they're looking for the home run. They're gonna try and do it. 15 seconds on the sidelines, and Sway Esports, they're gonna bounce back. They're throwing in the Esmeralda. They're gonna lose his life, and it's gonna be a wipeout with 5 seconds left. How the hell did this happen? PBN Strike all the way from Indonesia just make the biggest miracle comeback I've seen so far, and they take game 1 against the Philippines.
Victory!
I am absolutely speechless because Sway Esports completely threw that game away. Got 2 inhibitors, top and mid. Dives bot, sends a roaming Kadita with concealed to the backlines when they were not even ready. I mean, the dive from Chaos, just one of the most fatal mistakes we've seen. This is definitely a comeback from PBN Strike, but it was handed on a silver platter. Something that will haunt Sway Esports for the rest of the series. A deserving win for PBN Strike, but man, Sway Esports had to really give it in the most saddest way that he could have gone in game 1.
Well, if in case you missed out in action as well, this is pretty much the highlights coming in from that match as well. Let's talk you guys a little bit of journey on how things went down. SINAI Esports was just completely dominating the early stage of the game. PBN Strike, however, was struggling because of the fact of how break-even was setting up a lot of good wombo combos, right? Initially, the Kadita is one of the biggest threats. Every single time PBN Strike plays the play, the Kadita just completely one-shots people for the back lines. But while this is actually happening, pay attention to this play being made for break-even. This is pretty much a 14-minute mark where PBN Strike has finally started to build out enough economy lead to tank the initial burst of what Kadita brings to the table. And this is where things completely went south for SINAI Esports because they missed their power spike timings to close out the game and allow PBN Strike an opportunity to make a comeback. So I must say PBN, they played it very, very patiently, hated it, but guess what? A win is still a win because eventually if you survive the burst coming from Kadita, you are going to win your game.
And it's also the only fight that the conditions were met by PBN Strike, right? They isolate the members of SINAI Esports. Nanami finally cuts through the backline, and in the best case scenario finds both Lovescar and Barbichi, both the carries zoned out by one Joy who completely just ran over them. And of course you have this very weird interaction where Cavs dove the inhibitor turret, got taken out, and Break-Even was just a bit too ambitious with that conceal, also eliminated. It was a very weird chain of event, and again, SINAI Esports definitely beating themselves up over that game. But one thing is for sure, that SINAI Esports had control the entire game, and it's something that I think if they bring forward into Game 2, it's going to give them a strong lead, and hopefully they don't repeat the same mistake.
I have no idea how that happened, but I'm glad PBN Strike won because my prediction still survives for now, which it was kind of a little bit of a double jeopardy right there.
I mean, my curse is so strong that a winning team can just throw a game to prove me wrong. This is what a travesty.
I actually didn't expect that as well. I felt like SINAI Esports definitely had the better compositions here. It was a little bit easier to actually play the compositions, but that's got to be a tilt moment. That's got to be a 1 in a million tilt moment right now. And if they bounce back from this tilt, they are going to be able to equalize the score. But that's the thing, right? When it comes to Indonesia versus Philippines, we know, regardless of what tier, it is going to be an interesting one. Guess what? You guys got it.
Yep, absolutely. The rivalry between the regions is strong as ever, but we wouldn't be able to witness it, in front of a screen without our partners at Snapdragon Elite Gaming when winning matters. And let me tell you, that Game 1 winning did matter a lot. It's a morale win, it's a confidence boost for PBN Strike. So Esports looking for a bounce back. And if you guys are wondering, well, aside from Snapdragon Elite Gaming, who do we have? We have Samsung Galaxy being a part of this amazing journey. This is basically, we're in the half 6-month threshold, and it's good to see them continuing with us for more to come. Galaxy S23 Ultra is their latest product, so check that out if you are in for a new phone.
Yep, of course. Now, we are going to be taking a very, very short break very, very soon. But before we take the short break as well, keep that in mind that anything can happen. But of course, when it comes to releasing your inner self, you got to unleash the beast with Monster Energy and get yourself a pretty sweet drink to keep yourself all hyped up as well, excited, because that was a pretty intense match of Game 1. It's all about the chess plays. It's all about the mind games. It's all about discipline. PBN Strike, they looked weak. They looked like they were one of the worst teams out there. But guess what? A cornered rat comes in. When push comes to shove, they are going to fight back. And guess what? They did exactly like that. They striked where it hurt, and SINAI Esports dropped Game 1. However, will SINAI Esports bounce back? That's going to be a different question.
Yep, and of course, before we send you guys off, I just want to remind you that if you want the best deals for your game top-ups, check out kachishop.com for your in-game diamonds. No, don't need to look anywhere else. This is exactly where all the biggest and greatest deals are. Now, we are going to take a short break. I'm pretty sure SINAI Esports needed that break after a disastrous Game 1. We'll send you off for a bit, and when we come back, it's going to be Game 2 of this upper bracket series between PBN Strike and SINAI Esports.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
I'm a punk chick, and I make you wanna ride around town with my own clique. I'm a bad girl, and I make you wanna see you in the club when I'm getting lit. What's your number? I'm a call do it harder. You ain't my sugar daddy, I don't need no father. Figure it out, that's what we do. Riding around town with my whole crew. Yeah, see me in the club, getting tipsy. Never gonna kiss me. Hell no, a drink will convince me. Got my own money, I don't need you. Out here with my girls, that's how we do. That's how we do. That's how we do. Check me out. Yeah, that's how we do. That's how we do. That's how we do. Yeah, with my new clip. That's how we do. That's how we do. Watch me now. Yeah, that's how we do. That's how we do. That's how we do. Yeah, with my new clip. That's how we do. 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 How do you do? You can't do it like us. That's how we do.
Number one in the street, so that wanna bang bang. Everybody touch a road, everybody bang bang. Then I wanna so neat, everybody bang bang, bang bang, bang bang. This I wanna so good, this I wanna bang bang. This I wanna so wicked, everybody bang bang. Sun a shining, everybody bang bang. This a bang bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang. Bang, 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 bang. Number one in the streets, so that wanna bang bang. Everybody touch a road, everybody bang bang. Then I wanna so neat, everybody bang bang.
Welcome back to the Snapdragon League Mobile Legends Bang Bang tournament here as well, where we are witnessing the second upper brackets for this match. And this is going to be PBN Strike going up against Sway Esports, with PBN Strike taking the first game of what an unexpected comeback. And with the right moment to strike, they strike so hard that they took down the throne and take game one. However, will miracle exist a second time? Was it a fluke? Was it Sway Gaming dropping the ball? Now's a good time to pray to demonstrate themselves. But my name is ICBB12. Joining me is going to be Husky as we take you through the final series for today on how things are going to be breaking down between Indonesia versus Philippines in this matchup.
Of course, before we go into game number 2, we gotta thank the people who made this happen. Of course, who else to thank? Who else to thank other Snapdragon League Gaming, our main sponsor, our main partners for this event. They are the ones who gave life to this vision and made this a reality. We get a great set, we get great games, and the players get a good platform to showcase what they're made of. And I just want to quickly answer your question. Was it a fluke from game 1? 100%. It's not a fluke. I call that an absolute troll. But thankfully, it's the best of 3, and even if a team loses this series, there's a lower bracket run. Pretty sure Sway Esports have had enough time to kind of think through what happened in that last minute of game 1. Now I want to see them bounce back.
I think I was briefly looking through the highlights just now as well, while it's on screen as well, while you guys taking the break, right? In the final fight here, one of the biggest winners coming from PBN Strike was that the Joy was able to cut the back line and completely split off the fight. And you agree that it was a one-person every single time Sway Esports in the final fight, they were picking a fight where everyone was picking individual fights rather as a team fight. And because of that, PBN Strike was able to pick them all one by one by one. And that is pretty much, I think, one of the reasons why they lost. But at the same time, it was all because of the Joy pickup. Yeah. So technically, was it a troll? Was it skill? I would say it's when opportunity presented himself, you gotta take the shot. And in this case, PBN took that final shot and came up on top.
Now let's see if they can kind of close out the series, right? Because they are one game away from that top 4. Again, losing this one doesn't matter. There's still a lower bracket run, but PBN Strike, they drafted a very interesting comp. Double marksman, you know, we saw double marksman against double mage, and now it's game 2. Once more PBN Strike on that blue side with pick priority, so Esports on red.
PBN Strike once again. Do they want to risk the double marksman composition here? Because I felt like it was a little bit too risky. Sway Esports, they had a very right idea of picking like double mages here. They just wanted to dominate the mid lane control, which initially in game number 1 they did it really, really well. So Sway Esports, do they still lean on double mages, roamers, or do they play something more traditional? Because that game 1 didn't exactly went too bad for them. It was a pretty solid idea. Not many teams across the regions do play a double mage composition, except for I think Orange Esports from Malaysia, but that was the previous season. This time, PBN Strike, they are gonna respect this. They are gonna ban off the Kadida, which was first phase pick coming from Sway Esports game number 1. They don't want to risk playing against this. The Martis was something that I think was a big, strong presence as well coming from Kevs, which he did get like 6-0-1-3 in the early stage of the game, but I don't think PBN Strike realized how annoying he was. But at the same time, do they want to risk banning it? Not exactly sure. I feel like the Fredrin is something that they have to respect a little bit more. The Joy is also something that I think Sway Esports gotta take it out this game if they want to stand a chance for game number 2.
Yeah, it's about picking your poison, right? PBN Strike, again, with the first pick. Sway Esports, they are sticking with what they banned last game, 1-1 Kaja, and for PBN Strike, they switch it up a bit. No Kadita, no Esmeralda, and just like you predicted, Sway Esports, they take out the Joy. Fredrin now gets left on the table if PBN Strike wants it.
Alright, Fredrin. Oh no,
and the Glue,
okay,
yeah.
Glue is definitely a better choice here coming from PBN Strike. I'm not a big fan of Fredrin, sorry to say. I can't play Fredrin regardless of what happened. I've tried him a couple times, doesn't exactly found to figure the way out to win the game. Fredrin is a team play hero, meta hero, rather than a solo rank pub hero, which unlikely you're gonna win that game. I'm sorry to say. Without the proper right team, it's definitely a difficult hero to actually play. So Esports, however, they are gonna take the Faramis for themselves. So with this Faramis pickup coming from Sway Esports, they might be going for a roamer. You know what? Maybe, just maybe, they're gonna go for like a double mage card again. So this might be a roamer Faramis. Not a big fan of Faramis mage, but it is very possible seeing how game 1 went for Sway Esports.
Do you think there's a chance that we are looking at a potential Ube from Sway?
No, I don't think so. But I think Faramis is a great way to do with glue. Every time you go for split split, your first skill does so much damage on glue. And he's one of the very few heroes that Faramis counters glue.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in game 1 we saw Faramis ban and Estes ban out in the second phase, right? Kind of to block out whatever long team fight composition. But PBN Strike just bringing out the big guns right now. We have the Lolita, we have the Valentina. That's going to lock out any potential E for Farsa, or at least make Sway Esports reconsider. But the Ling now goes right through. We immediately see the jungle pick revealed by Sway Esports.
Wow, I like this adaptation coming in. Pretty much 360 adaptation coming from Sway Esports, going for the Ling, going for a split push pressure as well. I think PBN Strike, they are going to stick with their team composition, playing slow. They've got the Valentina. In terms of marksman department, are they going to go for a double marksman category? I don't think the Roger is that great against a Ling. But going for a Granger this game isn't too bad for PBN Strike, especially if you want to chunk through the TAM HP if they decide to go for a marksman jungler. However, there are still a lot of other options. There is still the Hayabusa, which is completely ignored as well. It was banned first phase in game number 1. This game completely ignored from both sides. Sway Esports, I think they are just gonna respect the Roger, which I don't think it was
I don't think it was a big issue.
Super strong issue, but I think it's more like Sway Esports is thinking from an objective where let's just ban off all of PBN Strike's comfort heroes rather than the meta ones. Sometimes there are some teams that just prioritize comfort over meta. In this case, was it by intent, or was it really that they don't really have other choice for PBN Strike?
I guess for PBN Strike right now, they might be considering another Estes ban just in case you take that potential Ube out of the way. Diggy is also a good option. Whereas for Sway, they actually they banned a Karina of all things. Definitely a very different pivot for Sway Esports. I still think the Hayabusa is left up on the table. For PBN Strike, they have a plethora of options, honestly, if they want to go in the jungle. And I think the focus right now is just to take away any heroes that would keep Sway Esports alive longer than they should in those team fights. Diggy, I still am looking at that Estes. I think it is something worth considering.
Ooh, difficult indeed. But I don't think they should go for the SSB Cup. They've got the Faramis. I understand that the Diki Faramis composition, the double alt composition is really disgusting back in the days, but it has been nerfed to a certain point. So I guess taking off the Atlas is okay as well. They're expecting maybe Sway Esports would play a mage like this, but considering that right now, Sway Esports, they need another mage. But what mage doesn't give value to this Valentina? There's just not a lot. I think Kagura is pretty okay. Lunox isn't too bad as well. But with considering that there is a low leader being picked up from PBN Strike, it's hard to play this kind of composition. So they might just stick with Faramis mage and pick a side lane, XP lane, a mage, which I think Esmeralda again isn't too bad.
But Esmeralda is banned out.
But with the Esmeralda ban, it's...
What else was side lane? Well, I guess there is
Cho tank for now, I guess. It's still okay, but a mage side laner...
I don't know, I was about to say a Xavier, but then it...
No.
Yeah, it's...
I think Sylvana is not... Sylvana is pretty terrible in this situation. Guinevere is also pretty terrible in this situation. There's really not a lot of options in terms of mage XP lanes. I might be wrong. Damos is okay. Yeah, I think Lapu and Damos is... They didn't really have much of a choice from Sway Esports. Like, I think they have to force Faramis to play mage and play an XP lane in it, which can just completely dive the back lines. Lapu is pretty good against the glue as well.
Unless they switch it out, right? Cho XP, Faramis roam, and pick a mage. Not really too much option, but well, we see the Moskov and the Amon come out for PBS, right? Lovely.
Okay.
We ignite this Hayabusa jungle, the Lapu comes through, but I'm excited to see how this Amon pans out for PBN Strike, because in game 1 it was the Roger jungle. Right now it's a completely different direction when looking at those assassination attempts. And if you can find a Faramis, that is the golden ticket.
Well, in this case, based on this draft composition, I feel like PBN Strike has a little bit more of an easier composition, but because they picked up Moskov, I'm a little bit skeptical now. But Sway Esports definitely has a lot of ways to actually pull as well. They are going for a 4 physical 1 mage composition with this Faramis and the mid lane mage. Can they bounce back from that utterly devastating defeat from game number 1? We gotta find out, because as of now, PBN Strike, they're pulling up their fangs and bringing us something really new to the table to pair up against this Ling. Are we gonna be expecting an early invade? We gotta stick around to find out, because a Ling without purple buff is a dead useless Ling. In this case, we are gonna be jumping straight into game number 2. This is gonna be game number 2 of the upper brackets. One of these teams will fall down the lower brackets, and one of these teams will be heading into the upper bracket finals. Is it gonna be PBN Strike, or is it gonna be Sway Esports? Ladies and gentlemen, this is game number 2.
Sway Esports, reset your mind. Look for game 3. I think game 1, just let it be in the past. Sometimes mistakes do happen. But like you said, a Link, without that purple, it is going to be, torturous. PBN Strike not really putting too much pressure into trying to find that Link. They will send Leone in on this Lolita to delay that purple buff take, but Yoshichenko is going to be there to protect his own jungler. So Rizal will get his purple buff. So far, both junglers off to a good start.
Yeah, and I think they have to play this a little bit safe as well. Like Sway Esports, they have to make sure that things don't get super out ahead. But as soon as I say it, Faramis Pools comes in, they get the pick of the Amon, and Sway Esports gets first blood. Not looking good for PBN Strike.
Yeah, and that's the jungler that is just absolutely unfortunate. The fact that he got double buffs and gets caught up afterwards. And of all people, he got caught up by the enemy jungler. That's a Ling. The dream opening for Sway Esports. And we saw what they could do with that snowball in the previous game. And as an Amon, you don't want to be in this position. So forcing a different pivot down to the bottom side of the map, you completely open up space for Sway.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one indeed, because as of yet, you can see Kevs, he's going to try and stalk the Amon here. He's only just hit level 3. He's 1 level ahead coming from Kevs. So this is a great opening for Sway Esports to actually snowball their way through. They're 1k ahead right from the get-go. First turtle is going to be out for grabs. There's no way PBN Strike can actually contest this. There's just no point. They are going to play it safe and farm the side lane. But however, it's going to try and bully out the Brody, and that's going to be a significant amount of damage. But at the same time, bottom lane turtle, they are going to get a kick as well. That's going to be the jungler down for a second time from the side of PBN Strike and Sway Esports. They bounce back from the defeat of game 1, but they are going to try and force the issue. However, they're dropping a little bit too low. They've got a big Numenor blast coming in from Sway Esports, but it is going to be the Cho that steals the turtle for Sway Esports. Instead, missed time of the retribution allowed PBN Strike to apply a little bit too much than that fight.
Yeah, just a very weird interaction as well. Sway Esports ate all of the big ultimates. I believe walked out with the turtle nonetheless. So PBN Strike didn't necessarily found what they were looking for. Not much kills. BUTWHY just uses his ultimate.
When in this kind of scenario, like even though they lost the turtle, I think the biggest objective was they were able to get a kill onto his cap and slow down his progression. I guess that's what's important, because as when I look at him, he's getting pressured by a glue in the purple buff, and this is a lot of space being created to buy time for Rizal to get some sort of a recovery coming from PBN Strike. And obviously, as soon as I say that, Rizal now gonna get kicked. He's gonna make a run for it. However, Break Even is gonna be left-handed as well. They're calling in the Faramis to actually help a little bit, and they are going to be able to disengage with a couple of battle spell being expended. PBN, however, going to be going for the direction. Cavs gets scouted as well. That's going to be half HP coming in, but is it worth it? Do they have the tools to kill him off? I don't think so. Harambe, Harakski going to be popping the ultimate as well, and that's going to be a completely whiffed shift and rage coming in. Raisho, however, still has ability, and he baits the count altar. This is huge for PBN Strike.
Yeah, and they should know that Rizal actually didn't have that endless shard. It's just a preemptive measures definitely used very early on, and Nami able to get a couple extra gold down the bottom lane. Rizal now has found BUTWHY, this time with no call ulti. It's an easy kill, but they might trade him back, and Kev gets a pick off once more. This lane continues to snowball.
Oh, it's a little bit slow on the stolen count altar coming from Yujichenko, but at the same time, they've got 1-for-1. Sway Esports, they're a little bit panicking right now. They don't know where they should be focusing, considering how much damage this Amon can be doing. Numenor Blast has been expended to try and zone them out. They force out the flicker of a low scars. And Sway Esports looking to set up for the Lord once again, but as of yet, PBN Strike, they're making sure that this Moskov is having the time of his life, but little did they know, Bloods and Zali, 0-0-0 got a full healthy chunk off the gold plating up top, and this time he is going to try and engage the turtle, try and force Sway Esports for this upcoming battle. And Sway Esports going to be calling in the link. He has a turtle buff. The HP of the turtle is relatively healthy as well. They've got all the time in the world, but it all comes down to who makes a first move.
Very, very important for Sway Esports. So far, they're not able to get much space, and you see Nanami just buying as much time as possible. The turtle down to just 4,000 health. Haroski on the side, Kevs looking as well. The actually turtle gets resetted, of all things. No kills though. Numenor Blast channeled very early on, but Leone, his team's not there to follow up. Rizal now is going to be in the brush, but unfortunately pinned up by multiple people. They're going to go for Love Scotty. Endless shots. Good execution right there on the Brody. That is going to stop Sway Esports in the tracks. No turtle attempt for them. PBN Strike restart this attempt.
Oh, this is so smart coming from PBN Strike. They realized they made a mistake. They found a way to salvage the situation, and that was completely concede turtle control and try and pick off on the marksman, which unfortunately for them, it actually worked out because now they have the man advantage. Sway Esports has no choice but to back out. They have to make a choice. Do they defend the top lane or do they back out? And PBN Strike, as soon as they let go of the turtle, they immediately pressured mid lane and top lane at the same time. Sway Esports was just so confused on what they need to do, and now they're going to try and desperately make an attempt onto this kick. And guess what? They got the kick on Leone, but unfortunately they could not change the CCs, and they are going to back out. And PBN will once again beat out massive ultimates coming from Sway Esports, and you can start to see the tilts are coming in, and they're getting completely outplayed, and now the damage coming in as well from the Moskov to finish the deal on towards break even, and that's going to be Sway Esports losing members left, right, front, and center, and now potentially losing the purple buff, which the Link definitely needs, and it's just like that, PBN Strike, they bounce back.
Yeah, and Bloods and Zali actually sniped break even with his ultimate as well from off screen. It's just pretty weird that, I mean, Sway Esports, I think Cavs conceded the turtle control immediately. Show spot, of all places, PBN Strike not only got the turtle, they got 2 tier 1 turrets, and now that bot is also going to break. And just in the blink of an eye, PBN Esports now find themselves in control of this game. Despite a great start from Cavs, it's not going to matter as much anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult as well. We do see a couple of purchases of Steel Lakes bringing. We have not seen any Dreadnought armor purchases from PBN Strike, so as of yet, Kev still is in the running to apply a lot of damage and pressure, but as soon as I say this, here comes the kick, and they do find the glue. Split comes in, instant flicker away from Nanami. BUTWHY not going to be able to do the amount of damage that he needs to chump him down. Meanwhile, bottom side as well, PBN is going to take the tier 2, so absolutely no value has been earned from Sway Esports on the top side engagement. And just like that, PBN will get a free tower.
Completely shutting out Haroski. Lapu has not found anything in this game thus far. Little despair purchase by Love Scar, RBG. Kinda at least by time, Domino Blast gonna zone all of them out from the mid lane. Tier 2 mid gone. RBG, uh-oh. Be careful. Break even gets a knockup. No kick though. The Moscow going to work. And now the Southern Call Altar right there used in the great time. Caps comes in, tries to find Ryzo. Can he at least get his aim on? Yes, he can. Leone can't protect him. But a 2-for-1 trade in favor of PBN.
Yeah, absolutely huge call outs are coming from PBS, right? They sacrifice the jungler, but at the same time, Sway Esports, they lose a little bit too much members because of what the aimer brings to the table. But as long as Kevs is still online and he has some sort of say in this fight, he is going to be able to do something about it. But without this upcoming purple buff, I feel like he is going to be struggling a little bit more to rotate in between maps. And PBN Strike, they know for a fact that even though if he gets a couple kills, as long as this Link doesn't have purple buff, he's going to struggle a lot in contributing to all these team fights. And you can see PBN making heavy emphasis on just marking the junglers, making sure the Kevs does not get out of control. And oh no, even the orange buff was stolen by Leone. This is not looking good for Kevs at all.
Yeah, Leone just making life so much harder. And now the bot and mid tier 2 take is so much more valuable to take control of the blue side jungle. Leone though can kick backwards, trying to get away. Oh, the shield! Puts out the bulwark in the last second, stays alive, but he won't have much health to work with. Conceal now used. Nami puts his body right there. Break even forced away. Lord dropping low. Can Sway Esports make a steal like this? But it seems like they can't. Caps it down. RBG uses Call Older, but he is also forced to retreat. Ryzo got the Lord for PBN Strike, and now the endless shot come right through. They lost the farmers. It's a dive between the tier 2 and inhibitor. Haroski out of the picture. Yoji Chango a bit too far forward, but Blood Anzai is right in the face.
What?
Fire!
No
he
way!
wipes everyone with a triple kill. PBN Strike on the board.
What? That is the ballsiest play of my life. PBN Strike all the way back past tier 2, back past tier 3, wipes the floor, allowed this to happen. How? Just how in God's name what am I watching right now? Because Sway Esports, they're getting completely bullied out, and the endless shot completely takes Kevs out right from the get-go, right after the respawn. Back to the lobby, he says, because right now, the Lord knocking in, there's so much value. No more purple buff once again for Kev in this next upcoming fight. A big Nunumalon blast comes in, but no, immediately gets cancelled. They pop the count out there in. PBN will pick them all bit by bit, one by one. The marksman is down, everyone is dead, and PBN somehow manages to completely dominate this game. And Sway Esports, they have to figure out what they need to do. The tilt is starting to keep in. The fatigue is coming in as well. The endless shot just popping so much damage. And now they're knocking those crystals potentially. But seems like they will settle down inhibitor instead.
Yeah, Sway Esports, just like that. Only one more potential fight to come back in this game. PBN Strike, unlike game 1, they are now bullying their enemies. And Kevs, no purple buff for him. He's gonna clear that wave down bot, go for the instant recall. Just no avenue for him. He can't do anything. Plus Anzai is an absolute truck right now. 4-0.
Oh,
the kick right now. Leone, important target to go down. Has the flicker, can't use it. 30 seconds without the Lolita.
Oh, that's not exactly the most ideal target, but it's still something if they want to bounce back. They're like 10k economy deficit right now compared to PBN Strike, and because of this they need to find a way to bounce back. And even though it's only 11 minutes of the game, if they can somehow drag it out towards the 18-minute mark, I don't think it even matters as well, because Brody is gonna get completely outscaled by Bloods and Zali, which as of now, with that 4-0 kill streak just now, he's pretty much outscaled already, and it's gonna be very, very difficult unless they find a way to kill him off. It's going to be extremely difficult to actually make a comeback right now.
Kevs, I think, finally got his purple buff. Uh-oh, they found Ryza and Zali. The kick! Very, very crucial one. They take out the aim on. Blood and Zali now has the stolen call altar with Vimo, the stun! And Nanami from the corner, they found the Lapu. This is probably going to be the end. Love Scars can't get out. blown up by Blurs Anzali. He is absolutely unstoppable. 2 prime kills going over the PBN strike. Cavs just needs to cut the wave and get out of it, but the top wave is stacking up, and Nanami, he's gonna push out the cannon mid, and Cavs shows up, but Leone is gonna flicker forward, get the stun off. Cavs force away the base in danger. Plus Anzai starting to do a bit of damage. Break even, doesn't have the ultimate. Barbishi walks out forward, they get a knockout, but the Crystal in danger. Nanami putting his body forward as the tank. Tempest of Play comes out from Cavs. They get the shutdown somehow. Blurs Anzali can't stay alive. Oh, the save is still there. The defense is strong. They lose break even, but Sway Esports refuses to go down. And it's Cavs' time to shine. Yodichenko falls 3 for Sway Esports.
That is huge. The one time that Cavs got his purple buff, he finally made it count. And that's exactly what they needed, because PBN Strike, they overcommitted their stay. They got the right targets, but the biggest threat here is gotta be the Link, the saving grace. But with the Lord up for grabs and Raijo is still in the vicinity, what they do, because as of yet, he's been a matchup against the Lapu. Lapu is dropping a little bit too low, but the Lord is gonna be taken down from Sway Esports. We're looking at a potential comeback, and this is Sway Esports finally finding that opportunity that they have been eyeing for. But now, let's take a little bit of breather here to figure out what they need next. Because based on itemizations here, you can see Love's cards is starting to build up a little bit more stack. But eventually, the biggest threat is still gonna be the Link here. Kevs, as long as he hits those huge Tempest Blade on towards Anzali, there's nothing much he can really do as this Moskov. So they really need to find the right target. However, with the Way of the Dragon coming in,
and Nanami gets sent back, but he's too tanky. He can't go down. Bait him with the blast coming through. Hitting on the 3 of them. And Blurs Anzai completely left to do whatever he pleases. Yodichenko gone.
Oh, no.
Can't even get a kill. He steals the king. What an absolute madman. Sway Esports sent packing 3 dead. PBN Strike looking for the end right now. Barbichi against Lilscar. That is the only thing that stands between PBN Strike and the 2-0 sweep. The Lord is pushing up top, but it would not matter if this Crystal cannot hold on. Barbichi, he tries to buy time, but there's no more time. PBN Strike right through the jugular, and it's a 2-0 for the Indonesian representative.
What a play, Yudichenko. What a kick, what a catch. His counter turbo stills has been on point. His Way of the Dragon kicks has been on point. What a convincing 2-0 against Sway Esports. Indo Pride, ladies and gentlemen. PBN Strike has done nearly the impossible, because Game 1 was a very difficult game, but Game 2, they played it convincingly. Sway Esports, they had a little bit of glimmer of hope with Kevs. Unfortunately, it's not gonna enough. But as of now, it's not over yet for Sway Esports. They will fall down into a lower bracket, but PBN Strike will be your second upper bracket finalist.
An absolute heartbreak if you are Sway Esports. The manner they lost in Game 1 definitely, you know, kind of tug at your heartstrings, but getting absolutely dominated in Game 2, not the way you want to go out. But like you mentioned, my friend, there is still a lower bracket run. This game was Blood Anzali, this game was Yodichenko, 2 of the main cores of PBN Strike, just captivating the entire Game 2. They carry the game.
Yeah. Every single time, like, Barbichi tries to pop a count altar, and every single time it gets immediately hard countered by PBN Strike, right? It's either going to be a Nubian loss or a counter attack from Yudichenko. But in this final fight as well, it's pretty much the saving grace for Sway Esports. A little bit of glimmer of hope. This is the only one time that Cavs finally got some sort of map control and purple buff, which kind of punished PBN Strikes for his aggression. But like I said as well, Bloods Anzali was the biggest threat in later stage game, because you can't really rely on Love's cards dishing out damage, knowing for a fact that Leone on this Lolita is always having some sort of reaction to deal with the Taunt of Power memories. And it's not once now we've seen things like this happen because of this Lolita, but eventually there was just too much to handle. Bloods Anzali was able to get a final half score in this final moment, but it doesn't even matter because everyone was saying this was just completely taken out of the equation.
You love to see a game where both the carries just put on a spectacle, right? Both Blurs Anzali and Yodichenko have their own highlights, but man, the fact that we got to this stage, it looked close, but I can assure you that PBN Strike were just so much more solid in Game 2. And it all started with actually a pretty slow start to Raizo, getting shut down early on. First blood going over to Cavs, who started snowballing, but the control in the bot section of the map was crucial for PBN Strike to really shut Sway Esports down.
Yeah, well done indeed. That was a pretty interesting game to see because I did not expect this at all. However, Kevs, he had a pretty good run. However, there's only so much he could have done. Eugene Chenko stealing the right ultimates in the right time, just allowing him to do what he's needed. And this is a very difficult thing to do as a Valentina. Knowing which ultimates to use and when to time it is just phenomenal. Look at this. He's got 53,000 damage on top of it all. He did a lot as well. Bloods and Zali with 55k damage. Definitely the main contributors for this entire team fight. Ryzel, however, a little bit low in terms of damage output, but you don't necessarily need high damage output. You just need just enough to take out one player.
Yeah, and he has also gotten some great assassinations. But, you know, credits to Sway Esports. They did shut down, they did do their best to shut down the Amon in that early to mid game. It just wasn't enough. Of course, of MVP of the series is Bloods Anzai. You can say it's him or Yuzhichenko. Both of them were phenomenal, but this Moscow really had his highlight reel with that base dive.
Yep, and as of yet, Bloods on Zai 8.3 KDA, kill population 67.5, he's doing pretty decent amount of damage. GPM is 741, one of the pretty, I would say a pretty high GPM stats as of yet thus far, but the DPM of 3,291, he's got to be doing some serious amount of damage to be able to pull off as a Moskov. Not an easy thing to do, especially in that previous highlight reel where they dive past tier 2s into the backline tier 3 and still got the wipeout. So that was pretty insane to see how Moskov is bringing to the table. So I'm looking forward to see more coming from PBN Strike, but that is going to be on a completely different day. But as of yet, we pretty much concluded today's overall semi-finals on the upper bracket semi-finals on how things will be looking like as we progress further towards the entire series of the Snapdragon Pro Series brought to you by ESL.
Absolutely. And of course, we've already gotten our upper bracket finalists, GameLab against PBN Strike. But, you know, that means that the lower bracket is going to be so much spiced up. I think for Sway Esports, there's a lot to learn today. Of course, we got to thank our friends, partners over Samsung Galaxy for making this a reality. Again, they are the latest addition since the second half of 2022, and right now, this journey has gotten so much more better with them. It's an honor to be right here. Check out the Galaxy S23 Ultra, share the epic, and level up your game with Samsung Galaxy.
Yep, and be sure to check it out as well, because if you are a big fan of taking pictures, this is the right phone for you, because it's not just got one lens, it's got more than two. 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. Use whatever you want. You want the wide angle, you want the zoom, you want the fish eye, everything is all in it. And who knows, if you're into photography, go for it, because why? The ladies love them, you know. It's just a suggestion, you know. Even though it's over, you still gotta keep them happy.
Yep, and we've seen Monstrous play just now, and of course from Bloods Anzai and Yuzhichenko, and that's because they are bleeding green with Monster Energy, unleashing the beast within them. My favorite highlight is definitely the base dive. Nothing comes close to that, all because of one of our friends, Monster Energy. Check them out at www.monsterenergy.com/gaming to know more about them.
Yep, be sure to do that, because without all these sponsors, we would not be having this amazing setup brought to you for you guys, and of course your viewing pleasure. Please do let us know on your feedbacks in the comment section. Let us know what you guys love about on the entire tournament as well, or maybe things we can improve as well to give you guys the best viewing experience. However, need I remind you as well, there is still more games for you guys to watch, but not for today. It is going to be for tomorrow, and that is where things are going to get a little bit more spicy in the lower bracket. So in case you want to know how things are going down, we are going to be jumping into the brackets for you guys to see how things are going out. As we can see, tomorrow we are going to be having some interesting matches here, because as of now, the upper bracket finals, like Husky did mention as well, has been solidified. It is going to be GameLab going up against PBN Strike.
For the lower bracket, Aero 404 will take on Tiger Wrong Esports. Winner takes on Evo Esport. And of course, ALVA 8 will fight against Miracle Gaming, and the winner of that series will face off against Sway Esports. But as all lower bracket dictates, there has to be a loser, and loser gets sent packing. So tomorrow in the lower bracket, we will see two teams getting sent home. And their journey ends, but only in the open finals. They walk away with $800 and at the same time, they also have already qualified for Challenge Group stage. This is all just for the prize pool. These are the schedules for tomorrow, so make sure that you check in. AES against MG, 4-4 against TWE, both elimination series.
Whoo, boy, I really want to see how this match can go, because Miracle Gaming put up a pretty decent fight in yesterday's game against
Aero 404.
Aero 404, as
Aero
well as Xandri's team.
Oh, we're talking about Evo.
Yeah, we're talking about Evo Esports, sorry. It was a pretty interesting one. I felt a little bit sad because I wanted to see the game go out a little bit longer, but will they bounce back? This is going to be the match that you guys are going to be watching out for as well, because tomorrow's game is going to be very, very interesting as well. This is going to be something that you guys are going to be catching your eye for, and be sure to come back for tomorrow, because this is... You gotta watch this. It's pretty good.
There might be potential rematch, right? If MG wins their series, we see that rematch in the lower bracket semi. So a lot of things are on the line. Of course, again, I gotta remind you guys one more time, all these teams have already qualified for Challenge Group stage. This is just the fight for the prize pool for the Open Finals. So all things considered, not too much is going to be lost. They get to walk away with a piece of the pie. The question is, how big of a piece will they get?
Yeah, that is going to be a completely different question as well. But as of now, that pretty much concludes today's upper bracket semi-finals. I hope you guys enjoy yourself as well. And of course, once again, I need to give you guys a public safety announcement, and that is saving money. And when I talk about saving money, be sure to start saving right now, right here. Every single month, save up about $100 regardless of what happens. Every single month, do it. 9 months later, thank me later. That's all I'm going to say. But any final thoughts before we actually wrap things out here, Husky?
Well, it's been a great day number 2, and I promise you, tomorrow I will try to match you, because I think I look a bit underdressed. Nonetheless, save up, make an investment in your piggy bank. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time for more Mobile Legends action. It's elimination day tomorrow, but for now, we wish you guys all a great night. See you guys tomorrow for more Mobile Legends action. My name is Husky. This is ICBaby12. I'm gonna peace out for now. Good night.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Won't stop going till a player on top know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion. We put in this time. Look, you won't.